This is the future. Evolution. This is the future.
All right, there we are. What is up, fight fans? We are live on MMA Weekly across the globe for UFC 274. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, along with the money man, Jeff Cain. If he just shaves his head, he could literally retire forever with those locks of hair. He would get a fortune, especially from guys like me, for Jeff Cain's hair. I mean, just hit us up in the chat. Let us know what you think Jeff Cain's hair is worth. It's a big fight night in Phoenix. The main card just getting started, Jeff. Already some fantastic fights underway, or finished, I should say, this evening. And a tremendous card so far, but there are some huge fights coming up. I'm disappointed we lost the Cowboys Cerrone, Joe Lozon, loser leaves town match. I'm disappointed with that, but we got Chaos Williams, and we've got Brown coming out now. Williams and get off. You got Mauricio Shogun Hua, the legend, on this card. And you got it's the rematch against OSP, Ovin St. Preux, the king of the head kick, right? And then you got the three fights. I mean, Tony Ferguson fighting for his career. Michael Chandler doesn't want that 3 in a row, those L's after getting the title shot. And then you got Thug Rose and Carla Esparza. You got your wish, Jeff. You were clamoring for Esparza to get the shot for a long time. I think her head gets kicked off in the first round, and she's back into the list of contenders because I think Rose goes on a run from here on out. And then you got Justin Gaethje and Charles Dubronx Oliveira, who has overcome more adversity in his life than almost any human ever has. I can't think of anyone who's overcome more than he has, maybe Nelson Mandela because he was in jail. But the point is, this dude is not going to be fazed by what happened yesterday. And you got the knockout king and the submission king / finish king in the main event with Oliveira and Justin Gaethje. Gaethje in his home state of Arizona. Should I go on? I mean, he's fought so many times in Phoenix, 5-time defending WSOF champ. 3 of them were right down the street in downtown Phoenix. And it's just, it feels like Gaethje's night to me, but I don't know, man. It is a big, big night of fights in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, it's hard to say what's going to happen in that main event because I didn't think Oliveira looked sunken in. I didn't think that he looked that drained during the weigh-in, and I was kind of shocked that he didn't make that half pound. So I don't know that he had a bad weight cut, other than that he didn't make weight. But Gaethje was rehydrating 3 hours before Charles Oliveira. It's going to be an interesting fight, man. Ferguson, with a year off, I felt like he needed it just to heal from the damage that he had taken. That's a big fight. Rose, I don't know. I was thinking that for a while about Rose going to kick her head off, and then the first fight, it was a head kick that Carla caught that led to the takedowns. And so I don't know. I don't know. That's going to be an interesting fight. Yes, I think the smart money is to go on Rose. I think the smart money now, considering the weight, is probably on Gaethje. But both those guys get rocked. Gaethje gets rocked. We've seen Gaethje stumble around the octagon more than we've seen him not. And so it's an interesting fight, man. I'm looking forward to a great pay-per-view event. Yes, it sucks we lost Cerrone, but Lozon's going to get paid. He made weight. Cerrone's probably going to get paid. He made weight. And then they'll get to do it again and get another payday. So it's perfect.
Jeff, I never saw the reason for that.
For Cerrone?
For the fight being pulled. Yeah, for Cerrone and Lozon being pulled. I never saw the reason. Yeah. What was it?
Yeah, he had a non-COVID related illness. What they think happened is he got food poisoning. He ate something bad, and he was throwing up. Couldn't keep anything down, and the doctors wouldn't let him fight. So that's what happened with that. He just ate something bad after weigh-ins, man. Which happens.
That sucks.
It happens more than people know, honestly.
Dude lives on a ranch and eats off the land. I mean, and then he gets sick in like a luxury hotel the day. It's unbelievable, right? And that, I mean, Lozon and Cerrone would have been awesome. Shogun and OSP is awesome. But, I mean, let's be real. Everybody wants to see a Justin Gaethje knockout. And if you don't, you want to see him get knocked out. And that's what you get in a Gaethje fight. But the interesting thing to me is Justin Gaethje's an All-American wrestler. Justin Gaethje's extremely strong. And if you watched the Tracy Cortez fight earlier, and shout out to my girl Tracy, Maryvale, she grew up 10 minutes, dirt poor, in the same neighborhood as Henry Cejudo, Frankie Saenz, John Moraga, and the Palencia brothers, by the way. The Palencia brothers are the only ones who haven't made it to the UFC yet. Cejudo, Cortez, Frankie Saenz, another one. And it's unbelievable to see who came from that neighborhood in the outskirts of downtown Phoenix to make it big in this sport. Tracy with the win, and it was a big one. But what she did to her opponent in that fight, and it was Melissa Gatto, and everybody was talking about Gatto being the next big thing and kind of saying she was going to run over Tracy. Well, Tracy's a wrestler, and her opponent's great at jiu-jitsu. So what ended up happening is Tracy used her strength, upper and lower body strength, to hold her down, and she escaped a few near submissions. But Gaethje could do that. He could do that against a lot of fighters. But he decided at a young age, after leaving the mines of Safford, Arizona, he worked there for a year at 18 years old. They all said, you're going to go to college and fail. You'll be back. That's the kind of town it is. Well, he never came back. He's a world champion in WSOF and an interim champ in the UFC, but he's still got that coal miners mentality, the copper miner, it's Arizona, the copper miners mentality. And when you think about that mentality, Justin Gaethje's going to come forward. He's going to knock you out, or you're going to knock him out. We saw it against Alvarez. We saw it against Poirier in the fights he lost. Against Khabib, he even rocked Khabib a couple times. So you're going to see a bar brawl. Justin Gaethje's a fan's fighter. He's a fan favorite for a reason. These guys set records for bonuses. They set records for finishes. And that's what everybody wants to see. But Gaethje can wrestle, and he can control a fight on the ground. We just never see him do it.
Yeah. Oliveira is a different animal. Because he's always active. When you do take him down, you don't get to do damage to him because you're constantly fending off this submission and this transition and this scramble. It's going to be an interesting fight. If Oliveira hurts Gaethje, he'll get him out of there fast. I don't mean early in the fight. I'm saying that I feel like when Charles hurts you, he immediately goes for a submission, gets you down, or does one standing, man. And so I think Gaethje has to watch out for that. And what Oliveira has to watch out for is what you mentioned, man, is the knockout power, the counter wrestling of Gaethje that he has. Gaethje knows who he's facing tonight. It's gonna be real interesting. I'm interested in how the Chandler Ferguson fight's gonna play out, because I feel like that's a winnable fight for Tony, to be honest with you. I'm interested in what the year off is going to be, and then how Chandler's going to look, maybe getting peppered with some jabs because he's at a reach disadvantage.
Yeah, and that happened against Gaethje, and he kept coming forward, but he got the title shot after he destroyed Dan Hooker. I never considered that to be a legitimate title fight with Chandler and Oliveira, and I still don't. But Oliveira did beat Poirier, and in both those fights, you mentioned it, Oliveira was rocked in the first round, and we thought finished both times. To his credit, like he's done his whole life, coming from a 6-person household, living in a 1-bedroom shack behind his grandmother's house in the Faletas? Is that how you say it in Brazil? And then his nickname is Do Bronx because it means from the Bronx. And in Brazil, the Bronx means basically a shithole. And so that's why his nickname is Do Bronx. He couldn't walk until he was 12 years old. He had diseases. He had medical conditions. This dude has been climbing uphill, one fingernail hanging off at a time for his entire life. The losing streak, the drop down to featherweight. And here he is, the all-time king in submissions and finishes on a 10-fight win streak. And before he missed weight, this is how fickle we are. And I don't want to say we. I say we as the media, but I'm not the media. So I don't want to say that. There's no, and there is a me in media. Never mind. I was going to say there's no me in media, but there, of course, idiot. But when I look at this fight and I look what everybody was saying beforehand, Oliveira might be the best ever. Khabib might not be the best. He might have to come out and beat Oliveira. Are you kidding me? No, let's slow that down, first of all. But then he misses weight. He's a disgrace. He's the biggest disgrace this sport has ever seen. Calm down with that. If you've never cut weight, you don't know what it's like. Yes, he's a champion. Yes, it's inexcusable, but it is just one of the most difficult and horrendous and gut-wrenching things a person can ever do. So Oliveira going through all this, I really don't believe, I said it earlier, Jeff, on ESPN Radio. I said, if you believe this is going to affect Oliveira in the cage tonight, I have some beachfront land in Nebraska to sell you for a real good price. And who knows, that might be beachfront land one day with global warming. But when I look at this fight and I look at Oliveira's focus and what he's overcome in his life, I could easily see him going in there tonight and destroying Justin Gaethje and saying, bring me back my belt, give me a date now. Or I could see Gaethje, as Poirier did and as Chandler did, rock him early. The difference being, and I believe Poirier's got great power. Don't get me wrong. The difference being, Justin Gaethje, unless he's hitting Tony Ferguson, kills people every time he punches him. Kills him. And he killed Tony Ferguson one punch at a time. And like you said, Tony's never been the same. But unless you're superhuman like Tony, you don't take that shot. James Vick, Barboza, I mean, the list goes on and on. Just drop down, kill shots. And I don't know how Chandler did it. But when I think about Chandler and I think about Gaethje and I think about Ferguson, you know, these guys are all, I mean, they've all fought each other. This division is so close in terms of talent level, Jeff, so evenly matched. We could easily be seeing Ferguson and Chandler as a title fight, you know?
Well, Chandler better come up really, really big tonight for that to happen because he's coming off the 2 L's. But, or I think he is, right? Isn't he coming off back-to-back?
No, he is, but I mean, like, what I mean is, if things had been a little bit different in any, remember, Tony Ferguson did the UFC a favor.
Yeah.
If he had done the Khabib fight, and if Khabib could have flown here, he would have been fighting Khabib. He fights Gaethje, that starts his losing streak. He could have been in a title fight. Chandler had Oliveira beat. He could be in this fight. You know what I mean? Chandler and Gaethje could have been for the belt. My point is, these guys in that division are very, very evenly matched, and anything can happen.
Yeah, in that first round in the Chandler and Gaethje fight, I thought Gaethje was done. I mean, he was done. you know, I mean, Chandler dominated that first round till like the last minute of it. And then Gaethje does what he does. You know, he's kind of like the modern day Chris Lieben. He's just a zombie. You know, he just goes into zombie mode and comes back and knocks you the hell out, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting night of fights, man. I mean, I like that Tony took a year off. I like that. I felt like he needed to. Now, we got to remember that Chandler's last fight, he took all that damage from Gaethje, you know, and so it's kind of a weird dynamic that's happening there. But that matchup intrigues me a lot because I feel like Tony's going to have a reach advantage, and if he can get out of the first round, Tony doesn't let up on his pace, and Chandler definitely slows. So it just, you know, the way this fight plays out, I feel like if Tony can get out of getting knocked out early, I think he can score big late. As far as the main event, man, Charles Oliveira just cannot stand in front of Justin Gaethje. You cannot do it. It's too dangerous. And then Rose, you know, it is what it is. Rose is going to have to be on her bike and do what she does because you know what Carla wants to do. And that's what Carla's game plan's never changed, you know, since before she got in the UFC. And people still can't stop it. So we'll see.
No, remember Dana said she was the next Ronda on The Ultimate Fighter?
You said that about Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Rose killed everybody on that Ultimate Fighter until she ran into Carla.
Yeah, everyone.
I mean,
she was the next Ronda.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Carla beat her. And Carla put an end to all that. First UFC loss for Rose. Remember, Rose had the long hair then. Beautiful girl. I mean, this girl could make millions off her looks and her success.
Carla
she could be
Rose
whatever she wants to be.
Yeah. Carla did Rose a favor. You know, I really do. I think that Rose went into that fight overconfident and paid the price for it. And she's never done that since, in my opinion, you know. And so I think that she needed that loss to Carla. Where we're at now has her improvements improved so far that Carla can't do what she did to her the first time? I think she has. But Carla's durable, man. Carla's tough, and she stays on point. You know, she's like Bader with Congo. You know, the game plan's simple. I'm just gonna close the distance, get you against the cage, and we're gonna stay here for a while until I get you down.
Shout out to Ryan Bader for that style of fighting. No, Bader's wins all look the same. You're right. It might have been the Rampage win in Tokyo. Same fight. Bader's wins are almost always the same fight. The Mitrione fight, they're almost and Carla's the same. And let's be real, okay? Let's be honest about this. And you've said it, and I have sarcastic things to say. They're catchy. They get good comments in the chat. But I will say this about Carla Esparza: she was the champion. She earned her way back here. The long way, the hard way, every possible way you can imagine. She earned her way back here. So whether you think she's entitled or deserves this or not is almost irrelevant because she's there and she's got the shot. And Jeff Cain, she's getting married next week, so she better win easily and fast because her wedding's next week.
Yeah, that's just crazy. The honeymoon the week after her wedding photos are probably gonna have some black eyes and stuff in there, but who knows? Maybe not. Maybe not. And then, Carla got to be the first one that Joanna just completely demolished. And so after that fight, it's like Carla went into that fight not knowing, like, Joanna is who really kind of what Joanna was all about. And it was that fight
Yep.
that put everybody on notice going, holy shit, who is Joanna? And so, I don't know, man. I think that Rose is the favorite. I'll say that. I think that Rose is the favorite. I think that Rose is the better athlete. I think that Rose is the better all-around fighter. But Carla's one area that she is dominant in might be enough to win a fight.
It might be. And we saw Rose lose on a fluke slam to Andrade in Brazil when she was dominating the fight. So, but Rose is the most talented fighter in that division, Jeff. She doesn't look like a fighter. She's very soft looking, and so she's very feminine looking. I hope I'm not offending anybody in this vagina culture that we live in. But I think that, I just offended everyone if I didn't the first time. Good job, Jim. But who cares? Get over it. Live your life. So she looks very feminine is my point. And in women's fighting, you see girls who look like fighters and girls who don't. And that doesn't mean the girls who look like fighters are, whatever. I'm just saying that she doesn't look like a fighter at all. She has the skill set and the skill level that's from another world. I mean, it's unbelievable watching her train. She's just that gifted. To beat Zhang Weili twice, to beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk twice, and not just beat them, to beat them. To beat them. There's a difference. There's no doubt at the end of any of those fights who won, right? Rose Namajunas beat them both twice, and they're the best strawweights in the modern era besides her. And there is no other era besides the modern era in women's strawweight. So my point is Rose is the greatest strawweight of all time if she goes on any kind of a title run, because Joanna's got the longevity with the belt, but she's got the 2 convincing wins over Joanna. So Rose rips off 3-4 in a row. We're talking GOAT.
Yeah, I mean, the other fights went to a decision. I mean, it's still early to play out. That's the deal with that division is that those 3 particularly seem to be way ahead of everybody else. But then we got Carla, because I felt like Joanna definitely had her moments in the rematch, and I felt like Weili definitely had her moments in the rematch. But Rose.
But it was
Rose
obvious that
like
Rose won at the end, though.
Yeah,
She definitely won. Like there was nobody questioning the judging. Like they were, you know what I mean? There was no really. Joanna that was a convincing win for her. Weili was closer, but Rose, it was 2-2 going into the 5th, and Rose clearly dominated the 5th in that fight. And that's what a champion does. They find that extra gear when they need it. She can beat you on the feet. Her striking, her kickboxing is incredible. She's underrated with the Muay Thai. She's very good on the ground. And Carla's got great wrestling, and she's a beast, and she gets you on the ground. She beats the hell out of you. So she can use that upper body strength. And that's when I talk about Rose not necessarily looking like a fighter, doesn't look that strong. It's 115 pounds.
Like an athlete.
But I think Carla's stronger than Rose, and I think that's a big advantage for her. She's stronger, more powerful, and her wrestling to hold her down. And like you said, win a Ryan Bader fight, win an old school Chris Weidman fight, an old school Cain Velasquez fight, use the wrestling to set everything else up and win that way, or just win with the wrestling, one or the other.
Yeah, in the rematch with Joanna, she beat her by unanimous decision. In the rematches with Andrade, it was a split. In the rematch with Weili, it was a split decision. So it's not.
Yeah. And Andrade's a bad matchup for her. She was the worst one. The worst matchup for Rose, I think, was Andrade, right?
Well, yeah. I actually think that all 3. I think that Joanna could beat Rose. I think that Weili could beat Rose, but it's going to take a different game plan than they employed. Maybe not Joanna. I think that Joanna could go in there and maybe just, land more or whatever. But those 3 are really close, man. Those 3 are really close. Rose has wins over them, though. So that definitely puts her. Rose is the only female in UFC history to be a 2-time champion. And so she's got that going for her as well. Rose is the greatest outside of Amanda Nunes. Maybe the greatest female fighter that the UFC's seen. Well, never mind.
Valentina.
I apologize, Valentina. God, do I apologize.
She's going to come get your ass, man. That's a girl you don't play with right there. If she's not training, she's on the range, man. You don't want to mess with her.
She's the greatest fighter in probably.
I think she's a Russian spy not a Russian spy. She looks like an old school Russian spy, doesn't she? Doesn't she look like a James Bond villain spy? She'd be perfect in a movie like that.
Yeah. She just needs to really play up her accent. Yeah, and then kick people in the head.
Yeah.
But yeah, I apologize for Valentina because for a long time I consider Valentina the better fighter than Amanda. She just wasn't able, and we won't even talk about Pena because Valentina walked right through Juliana Pena. So in a division up, you know what I mean? I
Right
mean,
through her.
so
Yep.
yeah, so there's really no, in my opinion, Valentina stands shoulders above everybody else, including Rose. But Rose is the one that's the closest.
Yeah, and people were asking me today about a Valentina Rose super fight, but Rose has more opponents. Strawweight's pretty loaded now, and that hasn't been the
Yeah.
case actually, and you know that, and we've talked about that a lot. And I'm looking at it now, and it's just, and I was just checking out the odds, but man, this Brown Williams fight is good. They're throwing down in there, Jeff. So when I'm looking at the rankings in the strawweight division, I look at the girls coming up. And again, last year at this time, you couldn't say this, man. But when you look at Marina Rodriguez and you look at Mackenzie Dern sitting there at 3 and 4, Andrade is back there at number 5. I mean, right there, she's got some opponents. So it's going to be she's got the Joanna Weili winner, and then she's got 2 or 3 more potentially behind that at strawweight. So she's got some potential challengers waiting for her.
Yeah, I don't see her. I think it would be a terrible move for her to go up there and fight Valentina because I don't think Rose has an advantage in any area at all in that fight. And so I think we're more apt to see if Juliana Pena beats Amanda Nunes again, Valentina is a 2-division champion at the end of the year. If Amanda wins, then of course we're going to have a trilogy fight. But I really feel like Valentina is going to end up going back up, but only for a title fight. I don't see Rose going up, partially because of what you said. I think that there's enough strawweights that where Rose doesn't have to go up, but I also think it's a terrible matchup, and those people around Rose will hopefully tell her that she doesn't have to do that to be the greatest female fighter. You don't have to win in 2 divisions to do that. I know that's the flavor of the times, with Cejudo and McGregor and Amanda, but I don't know. I'm hesitant to call Amanda a 2-division champion since there's really nobody at 145. Although she did beat the face plant Chris Cyborg. That's worth the title.
Man.
That's worth the title. I'll say that. That's worth the title.
Yeah, and Cyborg has not before or since had that happen. So when I think about it, I mean, before I think she did in her first fight, she lost, but that's a long time ago, Cyborg's first fight. But when I think about the women's side of things with Amanda, with Valentina, Ronda has to be in the GOAT conversation because she's the original. Without her, none of this exists. She's the legend. She's the one who paved the way for all the girls to, just like Dr. J. You're right, Gina Carano, but just like Dr. J and Cyborg, got to give her credit. But just like Dr. J did for Michael Jordan, just like Michael Jordan did for Kobe Bryant and so forth. I mean, that's how you.
Ronda had the total package. That's
She did.
I mean, that's what it was. Ronda had the total package, man. And because Gina Carano was never going to get over that Cyborg hump, she was boxed in at her popularity. She was huge at the time. But once Cyborg beat her, it was done. And then Ronda had like the total package where she could talk. Her entrance and her walkout music was absolutely perfect. I don't know if the only person that I could think that's like equally as epic maybe is Anderson Silva or like Uriah Faber. Where when you hear those songs, you think about the athlete. You don't even think about who wrote the songs. But yeah, I just forgot what we were talking about.
Brown just destroyed Williams and got up on the cage and yelled at Dana. And Dana just looked at him like, whatever, dude. I think that's what distracted you, because it distracted me too. We got a couple of old men here who literally just well,
that was an impressive jump up on the stage or jump up on the cage. It was out of nowhere. I didn't expect it. And Dana's responded.
What were we talking about? What we were talking about Ronda's walkout music was perfect. She's the ultimate
we were talking
star.
about the pioneers.
Done, movies,
we're talking
WWE,
about
Ronda.
The female pioneers, and even Misha.
I don't give a damn about my reputation.
Yeah. Because Tate, look, Ronda Rousey wouldn't beat Ronda Rousey if it wasn't for her wins over Misha Tate. That's what got her into the UFC. That's what got Dana's attention. And then, they both got to become big stars on The Ultimate Fighter. And, of course, Ronda. I think Ronda's still the biggest female fighting star, and she hasn't fought in how many years. But I'd throw Tate in there as one of those pioneers as well. And unless we're going to go back, like if we're gonna go back to like Shelby Walker and some earlier girls, then yeah. But as far as those getting it mainstream, and the Elite XC and the Strike Force and then the UFC, those are it.
Man, Randy Brown won by split decision. Chaos Williams doesn't know what planet he's on right now. I'm not so sure. I've watched this fight, and I mean, it was whoa. I mean, okay, we'll see. And Joe Rogan's in there with the interview now. But when I think about man, Ronda Rousey and what she did, and I remember I was there. I was sitting cage side for her and Tate, the last one, and Misha comes out and. I used to rock the boat. I am a Katy Perry song. I have pigtails. I'm dancing out. I don't know the words, so I'm just making up words as I go. I know the beat. That's Misha's walkout. Then all of a sudden, Ronda's like, I don't give a damn about it. And she walks out like this. And then I'm sitting literally straight across from Ronda in the first row, cage side, when the UFC used to take care of me before all the big outlets came in and pushed us up in the rafters. But when I'm looking across at Ronda and the look on her face after hearing those two songs, I'm like, this little cupcake is going to get murdered. And she is the cupcake, right? And of course she did. Ronda had that aura. She had that Mike Tyson aura. She had that aura of you're going to get knocked the F out before you even fight. Conor had it for a while and then lost it. And once you lose it, you lose it. Once it's gone, it's gone. Holly obliterated it, and Amanda just killed it and buried it 10 feet under, never to be seen again. But time moves on. It happens. But those things do not diminish one bit what Ronda Rousey meant to this sport. Could she beat any of the top fighters today? I bet some of them. But things evolve, man. I mean, look, when you first watched the UFC, it was discipline against discipline, right? Mm-hmm. People could come in as recently as 5-6 years ago and just wrestle and dominate. You can't do that anymore. You have to be able to do everything. The sport evolves. Everyone gets better. But you can't hold that against the people who competed back in the early days, because that's what sports do. They evolve.
Yeah. Look, nobody was throwing 105, mile an hour pitches in 1970 or 1940 or any time other than, our current era. And so, yeah, look, everything gets better. The recovery from injuries, the nutrition, the workouts, the supplements, everything gets better. And, and so records get broken. That's how records get broken, But yeah, Ronda meant a shit ton to the sport. I just threw out Gina's name because Gina was popular, man. Gina had Dana's attention. Had Gina beat Chris Cyborg, she would have been the first UFC fight. Well, Shelby Walker was going to be the first UFC fighter, but shit went crazy. That event in Japan got canceled, and then her untimely passing. But I think it would have been Carano before Rousey had she beat Cyborg.
And Carano was that crossover star and is still a crossover star. She got herself in trouble, with some comments that she made and what have you. But she really was the first big female star. You're right, Jeff. I remember. And then Cyborg just literally beat the piss out of her. I mean, I was feeling bad for Gina by the end of that fight.
Cyborg's a different animal. I mean, Amanda Nunes is really the only one that's figured out that puzzle. You have to let her get wild and make her pay for it. And that's what Amanda did, because she's predictable. Cyborg's predictable, especially if you hit her first. You know what she's going to do, and that's where Amanda was able to capitalize. But yeah, who's to say if Amanda Nunes is going to come back because she looked terrible against Pena. That was not any Amanda Nunes I've ever seen fight. And so I don't know if she's just lost focus and doesn't care. She's a mother now and she's got things going on out. Fighting's not her priority, and that happens. And if that's the case, props to her. But I don't know how how the rest of her career is going to play out at this point.
She went back to the WWE last week, 2 weeks ago, for a big pay-per-view.
No, I was talking about Amanda.
Oh, Amanda, I'm sorry. I thought you said I thought we were still on Ronda.
Yeah, I know what Ronda's doing. Yeah, I just don't know how the rest of Amanda's career is going to play out.
No, what happened to Amanda Nunes in that fight, man? That was not her. I mean, everybody has a bad night, and I get that. And no disrespect, she's a wonderful person and an all-time great fighter. That was not Amanda Nunes in that octagon that night. She looked okay in the first round, but she gassed out fast. She didn't have anything in the tank. Something was off there.
Well, I just think that she could have possibly just thought that was going to be an easy fight. She was going to get a first round finish, as we all did. you know, um, and then like I said, things happen. You know, in life, life comes. You know, so you have kids and priorities change and goals change and what's important to you changes. And I'm not saying that's what happened to her, but she does have a lot of things going on in her life that she didn't have before. And so, and I'm not even criticizing her if that's the case. You know, people live chapters. You know, she may be moving on to a different chapter in her life than fighting. Um, and props to her if she is. You know, but look, you know, the ones we know, the ones that aren't, right. Rose is still in it to win it. Valentina's still in it to win it. You know, they're still focused and on top of the game. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen to Amanda. And I know what's going to happen to Juliana Pena. She's either going to lose to Nunes or she's going to lose to Valentina. Period.
That's it. I mean, one of them. And what if she beats both of them? What about that?
I don't know what I'll do. That'll be. I think. Well, I mean, if she beat Amanda already, I would just be really shocked if she was able to do anything with Valentina. There's your girl on the scales.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Man,
look
Tracy
at.
Cortez.
I mean, we're talking about women a lot because it's the co-main event, right? But look at how far women's, because I remember women fighting in like hook and shoot. You know, with I won't even be able to pull out some of those.
Holy crap,
names.
UFC. Sorry, Jeff. I just want real quick. They just released the 276 card live. Izzy Cannonier, Volko Holloway 3, and I lost the
Strickland.
There was what was it? Strickland and
Lauren Murphy and Tate.
Who was Strickland fighting again? It's God dang it. Who was Strickland?
Alex Pierre.
Just went off the screen. Yeah, the guy who beat Izzy in kickboxing twice. That's right. Strickland's nuts, by the way. I mean, everyone knows this, but he's nuts anyway. Why do you take this fight? You're 1 win away from a title and you fight this guy? It makes no sense to me. No sense whatsoever. All he can do, he has nothing to gain by winning this fight and everything to lose. Or maybe he comes out and says, I beat the guy who beat Izzy. Give me Izzy. Because I talked to Sean Strickland here in Vegas. He was training at the same gym where Kubrat Pulev was for the Triller fights that are coming up. And I got to talk to Strickland. And I said, hey, man, you know, I do shows on MMA Weekly. You know, we started talking in the parking lot and he said he's 1 win away from a title shot, but he didn't want to fight Whitaker because he thinks of Whitaker as a champion. He's like, I don't want to fight a champion to fight another champion. So he was thinking of somebody like Paulo or Vittori or anybody else. And then he ends up fighting Pereira. So I don't know what the thinking is there, but I just know he's one of those dudes. He'll fight anybody, anytime, any place. And then you got Robbie Lawler's on that card.
Sean O'Malley's taking on a top 10 opponent.
O'Malley, Pedro Munoz, and O'Malley. Yep, O'Malley is no longer the unranked. I mean, he was just making money. O'Malley knows how to make money. That's all that was.
He's being smart, man. He's being smart. The path of least resistance is always the path you should take, unless forced to take a different one. He's not been forced to take a different one.
Not been forced to take a different one. His nickname's Sugar Sean, and he has the rainbow hair, the Skittles haircut, the Skittles hair color. So I mean, he knows how to market. He knows what to do. He knows how to make money on everything, and he's never going to stop. And that's great. There's Bagoy. Good win for Bagoy today too, Ivanov. So that he won by decision, and he's another Bulgarian guy who's been here, and I've gotten to know him a little bit training with these fighters. But it's interesting when you think about it, and you think about what it really takes to be a great fighter. And there's so much that goes into it, and everyone in the UFC is a great fighter. So what sets the champions apart, and what sets the winners apart from the losers? I mean, what's the difference between 12 in a row, Tony Ferguson, or 3 in a row, Tony Ferguson? Wins, then losses. Tony went through some stuff at home. He went through some injury stuff. Yes, Khabib couldn't get here. But really, there are certain times in fights where a lucky punch lands. You know, sometimes a punch gets through. Sometimes an injury happens. Anything can happen in a weight cut. You might not feel good. You might never say anything about it. But so many variables go into who wins or who loses a fight. You know, and I mean, there's Shogun right there. Look at Shogun. I'm watching the actual YouTube stream right now, which is there's people are it's a little behind us, or a little in front of us. So it's Shogun, but big card OSP with the head kicks. But the difference between winning and losing a UFC fight is not always skill level. Same thing in the NFL, the NBA. You have almost equal skill levels. You have matchup problems, like Andrade and Rose was a problem for Rose. Certain fighters are just bad matchups for other fighters. So there are so many things that can go into it and so many things that can happen in the heat of battle. It's really about keeping your cool, sticking with the game plan, your composure, and executing in the end, keeping that. And then when you get hit, when things go bad, you have adversity, you stick with it, you stay the course, and you have that mental toughness. And that's the thing about Rose Namajunas, her mental toughness. She had some issues mentally. She seems to really have that under control now, right? I'm the best. I'm the best. Who will ever forget that as she's looking at Barry? I'm the best. You're the best. I'm the best. You're right. And she's convincing herself. Well, she is the best, but she always has to convince herself of that. There are so many things that go into being an elite athlete, especially a fighter, Jeff. I mean, we could do a whole docu-series on that, let alone just a segment of a show.
I mean, it just comes down to focus, right? And then sometimes, I mean, you're right. There's some, uh, some luck or. I mean, look. Whenever a professional fighter throws a punch, it's intended to land. So I try not to use the word luck, but then I've seen fights like Pat Barry, in Czech Congo, where Barry had him knocked out, and then he ends up being the one knocked out, or Pete Sell and Scott Hansa, Stone Smith, just to throw back to an older reference.
Wow.
I mean,
But
he
what
had him
about
done.
Yair and the Zombie?
Yeah,
Yair and the
yeah,
Zombie
Yair
when he
and
hit him with that
Zombie.
elbow. Yeah, yep,
Yeah, I mean,
crazy.
uh, there's a fine line between winning and losing, but like I said, a lot of times, um, it's about where fighters are in their life and how they approach their training. I mean, you can tell who's really, really focused and they live this shit. This is their life 24/7 from when they wake up to when they go to bed. And then you also can tell who it's not. And that sometimes comes into play. And then other time it's a matter of inches, right? It's just a matter of inches. You landed and mine glanced off and I'm asleep. you know, like Dan Hardy and Carlos Condit, man. Both those dudes landed those shots, but only one guy fell. Or hell, even Aldo
How about
and Connor, they both
I
landed.
was just gonna say that Aldo and Connor. Aldo and Connor. Yep,
Yeah,
same thing. And Aldo's
it's
just kind of grazed him
it's
because
just
Connor's got there first.
yeah, it's just Russian roulette, man. I mean, sometimes it's just Russian roulette, and the get bullets in the chamber. you know, um,
What about Rocky and Apollo at
and
the
then
end of Rocky
sometimes
3? I mean, they froze the film. We never saw who landed. Rocky and Apollo.
I like to think Apollo did.
Yeah, me too.
That's
Rocky got knocked the f out.
that's,
I like
that's
to.
what I hope.
That's Jeff
Hope
Cain.
Apollo landed.
There's
This
Jeff
is going to
Cain
be
in a
a great
nutshell.
fight
I
right
like
here,
to think
though.
Apollo did.
OSP, yeah, OSP and Shogun, though, dude. You can definitely tell Shogun's got that man bod going on now. Um, to be an
Wow, there's
interesting,
a
they're
legend
streaky.
though. Let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Yep,
I was just saying that both of
yep.
these
And
guys can be
Shogun
really
Hua. I
streaky.
mean,
They can. Go ahead, Jim.
nope. Go ahead, Jeff. I think we had a little bit of a disconnect there. I heard you say these guys can both be really streaky. Then we lost you for a sec.
Yeah, that's basically what I was saying. Is that they're a bit inconsistent with Shogun? It's late in his career, and OSP's kind of always been that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a head kick or a Von Flute, right? One of the two, and he's got like four of them. 4 of the 7 in UFC history, I think, or something like that, is OSP, the choke. So that's pretty amazing. But Shogun, man, I mean, let's come on. I mean, we are talking, and for those of you who are the new jacks joining us here tonight, and there's nothing against that. I mean, the sport's getting huge, and people are coming on board every day. And at one point, I was a new fan. We all were, right? This is not an attack on anybody, but if you don't know the name Mauricio Shogun Hua, you are looking at possibly, and it's hard to say, it's hard to put him like all-time top 5, but when you talk about a guy who's been around forever and an OG, I mean, his first fight was in 2002. You know what I mean? I mean, you're talking, how many Pride fights did Shogun have? How many times did he fight in Pride? I mean, then he joins the UFC, and he's been in the UFC. Shogun's first UFC fight, Jeff, was UFC 76 on September 22nd, 2007, against Forrest Griffin. And then he fought Mark Coleman and Chuck Liddell, and Chuck Liddell practically needs a walker to get to his seat now. And Shogun's still in the octagon, and that's not a knock on Chuck as much as it is just a comment about Shogun still being in there. Champion, lost the belt to John Jones years ago. But he's only fought 40 times, which is
he's
weird,
one of the greatest light heavyweights ever. Yeah, I mean, he's one of the greatest light heavyweights ever, period. He won Pride Grand Prix. He came over and won the UFC title. He knocked out Chuck Liddell when Chuck was not quite, way past his prime. And yeah, man, that guy is an absolute legend, period. And yeah, definitely go watch his Pride films, because that's when he was really in his prime, and that's where he was an absolute killer. But yeah, we're at the tail end of his career now, Jim.
I sometimes forget that he's still fighting, to be honest with you. And, Ovince St. Preux, and there's a question for you, man. I mean, Ovince St. Preux is only a year younger than Shogun. And you think about their careers and you think about how long they've been doing it. But there's a great trivia question for you. Who has more pro fights, Ovince St. Preux or Shogun Rua? And the answer, obviously, since I'm saying it like that, is St. Preux, which is shocking, actually.
That is shocking. Shogun's he's had a more successful career, though. Yeah, Shogun is an absolute legend. There's just no question. His 2 fights with Dan Henderson, I mean, my God. Absolute wars.
Yep, Hall of Fame level fighter, Shogun Rua. He does have the dad bod going, though. Looks like he just got off the riding mower. And that's still a pretty good dad bod. I mean, most dads don't look like that. I got to be honest. I mean, most dads have a little more around the midsection than Shogun does, but he is carrying more these days, and that midsection looks a little more vulnerable to kicks now than it used to. But Father Time is undefeated. Man. Father Time has no L's.
No, he does not. No, he does not. But we'll see. We'll see how he looks, man. Bodies can be deceiving, right? Bodies can be deceiving.
Big Country Nelson. I mean, shit, Tyson.
Oh, I used like when Matt Lindland used to beat up Phil Baroni. Was amazing because you basically had this bodybuilder getting beat up by a guy who looks like he could have been holding a ring in the Lord of the Rings.
That's funny. Michelle in the chat room, Jeff says, Charles Oliveira deserves better. Seriously, stripped of his title for a half a pound. Terrible. No, I mean, it's not terrible. It's the rules, man. You got to make championship weight. No champions ever missed that I can remember. Scott and I couldn't figure it out. We went on and did a show the other day live after that. And
it's happened before. It's happened before, and I'll think of it. But it's definitely happened before because I remember that kind of set the precedent that only one person was fighting for the title. I don't remember who.
I know that's happened before. That's happened before. It was Holloway and Pettis. Pettis came in heavy, and it was for the vacant belt.
But was it a vacant title? Oh, okay.
It was a vacant title.
Okay, it was a vacant
title. And then there was another one. Yoel Romero came in over as the challenger against Whitaker and couldn't win the belt. But I don't ever remember a champion missing weight and being stripped. I should have clarified that better.
I heard. I mean, you said it right. I was just trying to think of the title fights where only one person. I call them half title fights. That we've had a couple of half title fights, and we're having a half title fight tonight. But yeah, I didn't realize that either. That no champion had missed weight, or that we can think of. If you're in the chat, and a champion has missed weight, then definitely let us know. There's a lot of fights that's happened. But it's just crazy that happened with Oliveira. And like I said, I didn't feel like he looked that sunk down. I didn't feel like – I kind of believe what he says, is that I made weight the night before, probably maybe snacked or something, and then woke up and had 2 pounds over and was like, oh, shit, and didn't make it back because he doesn't look sucked in. He doesn't look like he's like about to pass out or anything. He looks phenomenal, really. And so I kind of believe him a little bit. But man, what a way to lose the title. For him, with that win streak and what he had to do to get to the title after all this time, and then he loses it to the scale.
Yeah, that's awful. All the adversity he's been through in his life. I mean, this won't affect him at all, I don't think. But you know what? Someone asked me earlier today, how does this affect Justin Gaethje? It doesn't at all, because nothing's changed for him. He beats him, he wins.
He won't let it.
Justin Gaethje wins, he's the champion. He wins, he's the champ. I mean, if anything, maybe during that time, it gave him a little bit of a distraction, but nothing changes for Justin Gaethje in this fight. Literally nothing, not one thing.
No, I mean, I think that yesterday Gaethje probably smiled a little bit, just because his opponent got beaten by the scale. But no, he quickly refocuses that I'm still facing Charles Oliveira, and none of that means anything. I can still be champion. I'm going to, and nothing changes for him. But yeah, I think that we'd all be crazy to think that he didn't maybe crack a grin yesterday, maybe even give a good fist pump, and laugh about it. I know I would have. If I'm fighting you for the title and you're the champion and you miss weight, I'm going to laugh about it. I might even send you a text message laughing about it. But I'm going to refocus and get ready for the damn fight.
Yeah, and I think for sure it affects you if you're Oliveira mentally a little bit, but I don't think it affects him once he gets in the cage at all. Not one bit. No. You're not in the octagon thinking about whether you're the champ or not. And I say this every time this comes up, Jeff. I believe, and so many people say, and it pisses me off, oh, you should have to really beat the champion convincingly. No, you shouldn't.
Nope.
The rules are the rules. The scoring's the scoring. As soon
There's
as
no
the
champion.
Cage door closes, to me, the title's vacant anyway. It's vacant.
Yes, it is.
As soon as the door closes, it's vacant. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
100%.
And so people don't realize that, but it's true.
Yeah. No, I disagree with that. It's total. I mean, what the hell? You're the national champions in basketball, so what? You get to start with a 10-point lead? It's just ludicrous. It's a level playing field to fight. 10-point must system. All the rules are the same, and all you got to do is win by one judge's scorecard, and that's all that you have to do. You don't have to do anything extra because you're the challenger. There are no champions in a fight. Like I said, when the belt, they take the belt off and the belt's outside of the cage. There's no champion inside there. The champion is decided at the end of the fight. Either he retained it, here's your belt, you're still the champion, or sorry, you're not the champion, this guy is. And so there are no champions during a fight.
None. And for Oliveira and his fans, you ask, what is he fighting for? He's fighting for his name, his reputation, and the next title shot to get that belt back, because he wants to go on a run and be the best ever. There's only one champion, and his name is Charles DuBronx Oliveira. He's a character. He's a crazy dude. He is lethal everywhere in that cage, submission-wise. Lethal. And you mentioned it. If he rocks Gaethje, that submission win would be a lot easier for him.
What happened to Charles, though, got me kind of Ngannou. He should have missed weight against Cyril Gane. They'd have stripped him of his title. There's no chance.
Oh, interesting. And what would that have done for him?
He'd be boxing Tyson Fury in 4 months. That's what it would have done for him. But he's not now, because it has been stripped of the title. There's no championship clause. His contract is fulfilled, and he's not the champion. Although he would still have the win over Cyril Gane. Gane would be the #1 contender, and Francis would be boxing right now. But that's what seriously, whenever they stripped Oliveira of the title, it just like a light bulb went off my head and thought, Francis, you had a way out that we didn't think about.
The diabolical Jeff Cain. I love it. The diabolical Jeff Cain. We have nothing behind us on the screen. We're in a black
darkness.
Hole. And I was watching a special the other night that apparently there are bazillions of black holes with bazillions of black holes that all have bazillions of universes and galaxies, and we're just flecks. This is why it's interesting when I think about that. I don't know why that came up when I was thinking of a black hole there, but I know Scott can't hear us. So we don't have a background behind us. So anyway, we were talking about Oliveira and his mindset, and he can't walk out of there with that belt. If Oliveira wins, maybe the most loaded division in the UFC doesn't have a champion. Think about that for a second. And any of those guys could be. I mean, you think of Conor McGregor, they want to give him a title fight desperately anyway. What better way to do it than with a vacant belt? I mean, there's so many scenarios that could unfold as the result of a vacant belt that my mind, I mean, you're going to see smoke start coming out of my ears in a second.
Yeah,
I'm
Conor
incapable
better
of this level of.
Yeah, to make 155, Conor might have to start cutting weight now. That dude's big right now.
Yeah,
But
true.
this Shogun Huan OSP fight is actually a really competitive fight. Huan looks
Good.
really good.
Yep,
Man,
and
bod
OSP,
and all,
I mean,
he's landed shots.
Southpaw, OSP looks good. Shogun walking up to this earlier this week and yesterday, and he looks pretty good. The fans were back. Fans are back at the official weigh-ins,
Foot
not just
center.
the ceremonials.
Oh. Yep.
What did you say, Jeff?
The fans are definitely back. Oh, I thought you were thinking about the arena.
The fans
but yeah, you were
are
just
back.
talking about the weigh-ins and yeah.
Yep, everything's kind of
yeah,
getting
these
back
two
to
are
normal.
just
Before you
standing
know
in
it, they'll
front
be
of
on the
each
road
other.
all the time. They won't. They are. Someone's going.
Go ahead.
I mean, someone's going to sleep, right? This is aging light heavyweights
Yeah.
with a lot of power. Their reflexes start to go. Someone's taking a nap.
I agree.
How many times has Shogun been knocked out? I mean, that's the thing that scares me for Shogun is how many times has he been knocked out? That's the thing.
I do not know.
It's been a few times.
Yeah, well, I'll pull it up.
Punishment
We'll see.
Taking over the years. I'm trying.
Oh, yeah,
I'm scrolling down his wiki page right now. It's like the Dead Sea Scrolls. 6 times.
He's been knocked out 6 times. Yeah, but what's important about that is that 2 of them have been in the last 4 years, or all of them.
Paul Craig.
4 are his last 4 losses, so it's becoming a common thing in his losses.
No, his last one was a submission. Very rare. He submitted to punches against Paul Craig. And I would submit, for the record, I would submit to punches against Paul Craig too if I were still alive to do it.
Sorry. I call that a TKO, but yes, I guess you're right. He tapped, or technically he submitted to punches.
No, it is a
That's
TKO.
That's always weird because
it's ruled a TKO.
Okay.
The official ruling is TKO submission.
I guess it's like submission
2
by
punches.
Well, I mean, if you tap out. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah, because I always just consider him a TKO, but now I started thinking, well, if you tap out, like say Joanna did against Rose the first time, and then said she didn't, that to me, I guess, is technically a submission win. I tapped out. But it's a TKO submission.
Interesting, right?
I get it. Yeah, it is interesting. It is.
Rose is, man, Thug Rose. She has that wiry athlete's build, Rose Namajunas. I mean, she does.
She's incredibly
She looks like an athlete. She doesn't look like a fighter. She could be a track and field star. If you looked at her and you walked in a room and said, you're going to meet one of the greatest female athletes in the world today, and you didn't know who she was, and you walked in, fighter might be your last guess. You'd think swimmer. You'd think track and field.
Tennis.
Who knows what you think?
Yeah, I'd probably think tennis. Yeah, because she's got that kind of frame and she's long. Look, Valentina's the same way. They're just athletic. They just have that athletic build. I mean, yeah, Rose. Look, I think it was before the Joanna fight, that maybe the rematch, where she's punching those tennis balls, and Pat Barry's just launching those tennis balls at her, and she's punching them and kicking them out of the air, and hit like 30 of them in a row. I was like, holy shit. Rose is incredibly athletic. And then if you see her play basketball,
that's like Tiger Woods with the golf.
She's a good basketball player too.
Yep. She is. She's a great athlete. That's a good point. And she's lovable. When she had her struggles with mental health, and she was on the bus that got hit with the dolly, and it really had an effect on her mental health. It didn't get hit with a dolly. Connor threw it. I mean, that's really. But when you think about Thug Rose, and what a perfect nickname.
Yeah.
It's like it gives me the Tupac, the Rose from the concrete. But when I think about Rose, she's that fighter, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, because of course Pat Barry would kill me anyway. But you just kind of want to coddle her like a bird with a broken wing when something's wrong. She's got that. I mean, she's got that endearing quality that fans love, and they just take to her.
Well, she just seems like an incredibly kind person. Like even her post-fight speeches, she's got something inspirational or whatever to say. But overcoming adversity. Rose has talked about the background that she comes from. She's overcome.
Mm-hmm.
And going after Pat Barry.
I think we got a connection trouble there. Yep, I think we had a connection trouble there, Jeff. I don't know if anybody was hearing you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We pretty much missed all that.
Can you?
We pretty much missed all that.
All I said was that speaking of Pat Barry, and we mentioned Sean Strickland earlier, what the hell was up with Sean Strickland going after Pat Barry like that?
Right?
That was
He's just
kind
nuts.
of out of line. Yeah. I mean, that was, and Sean Strickland's kind of made a career out of being out of line, right? I mean, constantly. He doesn't know where a line is. But that, I was like, holy, that's kind of taking things past what a Conor would do. That was Conor McGregor Poirier. Yeah.
Or when McGregor went at Woodley backstage.
Yeah.
Remember when McGregor went at Woodley?
I don't know, man. But
Strickland's nuts.
Pat
He was a
Barry
neo-Nazi when he was a teenager. I mean,
yeah.
Just nuts. He's just nuts.
Yeah,
he's the type of dude that you have to kill him to beat him, and then you kill him and you beat him, and he gets up, spits out his teeth, and says, "Is that all you got?" He's one of those guys.
Yeah. Well, Pat Barry might leg kick him one day. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Happened to you in your life.
Some people can.
That would be one of them. Are these guys going to go the distance? There's no way. I would have bet everything I'll ever have for the rest of my life, which if I keep working in combat sports might be nothing. But
yes. Yeah. They both these guys have landed big shots, is what's crazy about it. Both of them have had moments, but the knockout punch hasn't happened. Although OSP's kind of inching forward and getting more aggressive now.
Yeah, he is. And one, if he's trying to say, I mean, he's been throwing that kick, that high kick on it, but the kicks haven't been, they haven't had everything that he could put on them.
Yeah.
A lot of them are for itself, man, I mean, finding the right side of his opponent's faces.
Yeah. Shogun, it looks like his defense is better than it has been in he's blocking a lot of things. His hands are up. He's not just going in there, with a flurry and saying, screw it, let's see what happens. He's definitely more radical this fight than in some of his last fights.
See, I think you should get a point deducted when you dance around for the last 12 seconds and avoid the person. I would deduct a point. That would be my rule. I don't like that. Awful.
You can't take a whole point away. It's too devastating.
But OSP did land a couple of big kicks to the body, and I don't know. He might have outscored him, but I mean, not a bad fight. Pretty good fight for two older guys, legends of the sport. The fans love seeing it. Shogun landed some good leg kicks in the fight. I don't know, man. This one's close. Shogun caught him with a couple of good shots.
Yeah,
I think it's going
Shogun
to be
was
a split
putting together
decision. It's gonna be close.
combinations early. Yeah, but Shogun's body is just like bright red where he was taking kicks to the body. That was a good fight, man. I mean, there was nothing to be disappointed about in that fight. Yes, Shogun circled away from him for like the last 10 seconds of the third round, but who knows, man? Maybe he kind of had an injury or something and was like, okay, let's just get out of this round. I don't know.
Yeah, and Shogun was giving up a lot.
I mean, they're
height
showing
and
the
reach-wise,
highlights.
of course,
And
you see
both of
that.
those dudes.
I just realized one of the hardest things to do. Yep. They're about to announce the decision. One of the hardest things to do is to put a shirt on a sweaty body. I just saw Shogun's coach trying to put a shirt on him. And it reminds me of me playing sports and trying to put a shirt on. It's not easy putting a shirt on a sweaty body. Just a random observation.
No, it is not. It's a valid, legitimate observation, Jim. It's 100%. Especially a cotton shirt. A cotton shirt.
A cotton shirt. And Buffer's got the announcement. By the way, shout out to Mark Goddard, one of the best refs in the game and one of the nicest guys I've met. I've gotten to know him over the years and just a great dude. I say, I'm not even going to pick. It's too close to call for me.
I'm going to say Shogun, but we're going to see.
Is it a draw? Wait, both of them put up their arms. Oh, OSP won. How did Shogun think it was him? Split decision for OSP. There you have it. It was very close.
Split. Yeah. I mean, I didn't get to watch it close enough to think, but every time I looked over there, it looked like Shogun was trying to land right hands and kind of pressing forward.
Jared Cannonier's there, Patty the Batty, Kyler Murray's there, Dwight Howard's there. They got some celebs in the house. Man, we are just moments away, fight fans. It is going down now, Jeff. I mean, we're reaching the part of the card. Any of these could be main events. This card is stacked, loaded. I mean, the first ESPN show, the first time the UFC was on ESPN TV. There's a trivia question for you. Jeff, do you know which fight it was and where it was?
No.
Phoenix, Arizona.
No, I don't.
Cain Velasquez, Francis Ngannou.
Oh, Cain was the first. He was the first on 2 network. Wasn't him and Junior Dos Santos the first on like Fox or Fuel or something?
Fox. Yep. He headlined both, and he's headlining a lot right now. Shout out to Cain. Free Cain, by the way. He's going to be in jail till the 16th. Did get another bail hearing, but they didn't let him out, thinking he's going to go do it again. And that premise might be right, because he might go do it again, because if I were him, I'd probably go do it again. But I wouldn't do it in public. I'd do it in the guy's house, and I'd slit his throat from ear to ear and hand it to his mother. Is probably what I'd do. But that's just me. So if he molested my kid. So, yeah, there's that. But I just feel for Cain. But that just made me think. The first UFC fight card, not the first one in Phoenix, the first one. And for years, they didn't even go to Phoenix. We were clamoring for it when I lived down there. The first one was Stipe and JDS, and Nate Diaz was on that card. And that was one of those nights where I was walking in from doing my show outside the arena, and I'm walking down, and I see there's a big fight in the crowd, and I'm like, who the hell look at these idiots. These assholes can't even go to an event and not get in a fight. I mean, come on, you guys are good. And I found out later it was my friends. Of course.
Nice. Look at
Yep, one of those nights. But
Michael Chandler is
fighting in. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Sorry, I was just looking at the B-roll that we were playing. Chandler is a friggin' specimen, man, isn't he? I mean, that dude takes nutrition and training very seriously.
And religion and parenting and adopting babies and being a husband. Michael Chandler, I have to tell you, and I know him reasonably well, not on any super personal level. I've done a couple clinics with him. A good friend of mine who used to coach ASU wrestling, Sean Charles, was his coach in college, along with Woodley and Ben Askren. They were all teammates at Missouri or whatever. And Michael Chandler came and did a clinic with Henry Cejudo and Anthony Robles, who's the one-legged national wrestling champ, Anthony Robles, and they did a clinic. So anyway, got to interview Chandler there a few times over the years. It's not an act, man. It wasn't an act with Cain. It's not an act with Cain either. But Michael Chandler is a legit family man, a legit businessman. He's one of those guys that you talked about. If he's not at the gym, he's with his wife. If he's not with his wife, he's with his kids. If he's not, you know what? He's just one of those guys. And he's a great dude.
He lives
and he is an absolute specimen. He lives for it. Fighting and family. That's his life, period.
In shape is probably like his addiction, his drug, his high, because that's what he does. Like, you know, it's like you said, if he's not with his family, he's in the gym, you know, or in the weight room. The guy takes it very, very seriously. And he's had a lot of fights. Look, hey, you know how,
and he fights like a savage.
You know, people
he's a
talk
savage.
about other organizations. Yeah. You know, people talk about other organizations and, you know, the UFC being the pinnacle. But here we are. We got a World Series of Fighting champion fighting for the championship, and then a Bellator champion who was really close to being there. And so I kind of think it's funny that these two guys are kind of showing that, man, there are other organizations out there, and a few of us can come over here and make waves in the octagon.
No doubt. And that could be the case with a lot of fighters from those organizations. I look, Pettis went to PFL and lost. What did Pettis do last night? I didn't see. I know Kayla won.
He won.
But I don't.
Yeah, he
Pettis
won.
Okay. Here's Tony Ferguson.
Rory McDonald.
There's my boy Ricky Neal. I got to take a picture of my guy Ricky Neal. One of my nicest guys you'd ever meet. Never had a thing, humble. Worked with him on a local promotion, and now he's working the fights for the commission as an official with the UFC. I mean, you got to love that. And my buddy Ryan Brueggemann, who's reffing UFC fights today. These are Arizona guys I know. Tracy Cortez with the win. Gaethje's going to close the show with the knockout. But Tony Ferguson, Jeff, the fans love him. You heard the pop he got from the crowd. He had a lot to say this week about Dana White privilege, which I thought was pretty clever. Dana White privilege doesn't exist. It's a real thing. Whoever makes Dana White the most money has Dana White privilege. That's it. If Dana White privilege is green.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot to say, and you're seeing more and more people, you know, that I feel like that voice is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's going to be interesting to see
Damn
how
you,
it
Jake
goes
Paul.
because, well, yeah, it was before Jake Paul. I mean, you go back.
It was before.
You know, Frank Shamrock and Tito Ortiz. You know, but now it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. It's Sean O'Malley. It's Patty.
Look what Anderson Silva said.
Tony Ferguson. Yeah, Anderson Silva. Yeah. And so, look, this is a brutal business. I mean, we all know that. Like every athlete knows that this is a brutal friggin' business. And you've got to beat people up and do it consistently to make money. You know, but that's the same in all combat sports. You've got to be one of the top guys to really, really, really cash in. The mid guys on the card aren't even making six figures, you know, a year. I mean, I'm talking about boxing and kickboxing and MMA, you know, but where it really gets crazy is the bottom of that card. You know, people fighting for 2-2 or 4-4. That to me seems absolutely crazy. But that's not just UFC.
Nope, it's not. And everyone thinks boxers make so much more money. Maybe the biggest boxers get a bigger percentage. We're not going to doubt that. When Tyson Fury makes $40 million, obviously. But Canelo's fighting tonight here in Vegas, and you know Canelo's making a damn fortune. So that happens, and the top stars probably have a right to bitch. But if you're not an elite superstar, you're not getting paid that kind of money. I mean, you get the Sean O'Malley's and the Patty the Baddies, and O'Malley's making his money outside of the octagon anyway. And you get some people like that come along and people who make money quickly. But it's butts and seats, it's pay-per-view sold, it's merchandise sold. They have everything literally computed down to the nickel, to the penny even. And you know exactly what your value is to the company, right? Michael Chandler is very valuable to the company for everybody to say. He got a title shot way too soon, and there were other people who deserved it more. The timing was good for Chandler. He devastated Dan Hooker. When he came over from Bellator, they made him the fill-in for Khabib and Gaethje right away. Let's not forget that. It probably was in his contract that he gets a title fight as long as he wins within 3 fights, right? Or whatever.
Look,
That
you want to know
happens.
what
It's a thing.
happened with
And then you
what
have
happened?
Gaethje, who was the WSOF champ.
Yeah, what happened with Chandler is when they met with him, they were like, hell yeah, they bought it. They bought into what he was selling, and he has good management, and so he got provisions in his contract that other people who aren't as professional and aren't as I live and die this every second of the day can't sell. And so I don't have any problem. Look,
Right.
I understand. Like it's when Francis Ngannou says stuff, and John Jones said stuff, and Anderson Silva said stuff that people that raises eyebrows. Nobody gives a shit what Patty the Batty has to say. Nobody really gives a shit what Sean O'Malley has to say. You haven't done anything yet. But whenever you have these guys at the top of the sport saying it, then it looks bad for the sport. I'll say that. It just looks bad for the sport.
It does. It looks really bad for the sport. I mean, but you look at this fight here. Ferguson won 12 in a row. Michael Chandler has 13 first-round finishes. Kukui got blasted by Gaethje. He was never the same. But then it was Oliveira who manhandled him. Oliveira wasn't the Oliveira we know him to be now in that fight. So I called it a fading Tony Ferguson, and maybe a little bit too much on that train because I love Tony and I always have, and I have a place in my heart for that dude. And then the who the hell beat him after that and dominated him? Beneil Dariush beat him after that.
Yeah.
So Tony Ferguson, like you said, needed this time off. What did this year do for Tony Ferguson, and how does Chandler bounce back from the 2 L's? These are the storylines of this fight.
Yeah. This is a must-win fight for both of these guys. I mean, it really is a must-win fight because neither one of them is going to be. Whoever loses is going to drop maybe out of the top 10. But Jim, I'm going to be right back. I've got to go to the men's room, and hopefully I get back before the start of this thing. So talk them up to the fight.
How did you happen to get a men's room in your house, man? My bathrooms are all unisex. It's not fair that Jeff has his own men's room. I want my own men's room. How about that? That's the new trend. All you realtors and home developers out there, you should be thinking about this. Separate bathrooms to identify with. We all get our own, right? That'd be great. Chandler 22-7, a minus 320 favorite. Tony Ferguson at plus 250, guys. I don't know what you're thinking in the chat room. Who's going to win this fight? Empty chair of Jeff Cain. And there's my buddy Ricky Neal in the cage again. I'm hearing myself in my headphones, so I'm going to take them off until Jeff comes back. I think it's because I'm using the audio out of my camera. I'm going to have to switch this next time and use my audio equipment. I'm a little bit behind, I think, possibly. What do you think in the chat? Who's going to win this fight, man? There's a ton of Ferguson fans, 26-6. Those fights with Khabib. If only. Tony Ferguson, man. If only we had seen that fight. If only Pete Kukui could have fought Khabib and maybe would have been the title holder. Instead, he was the interim title holder, that fight against Kevin Lee. But, man, it's interesting. Tony's always a gamer. Could ever have imagined anyone taking from Justin Gaethje in a fight. Oliveira, he fought till the end, didn't get finished there. I mean, he's a G. He's a big-time competitive, all-heart type of dude. But so is Michael Chandler. To watch him keep coming against Justin Gaethje. And Trevor Whitman even said it. If you watch the UFC Countdown, shout out Anna Ray, one of my editor friends who's an editor on that show. When you look at what Gaethje and Whitman said about Michael Chandler, Whitman even said, I was surprised that dude kept coming. He's got a ton of heart. Michael Chandler has so much heart. Tony Ferguson, these are two of the biggest hearts of any fighters I've ever seen. Two of the guys with so this victory is going to be earned by whoever gets it. It's going to be earned. And I can't wait to see what Tony Ferguson looks like, right? It's been a while, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
It's a long time inactive for a guy who fought so much for so long.
Yeah, but I think he needed that layoff. I really do think he needed that.
I think Chandler's too big of a favorite.
Yeah. Winnable for Tony, I mean, for sure.
Jeff, we're losing you again.
We're just going to see how he looks after a year, layoff. Okay. Oh, crap.
There you go. You're back. You're back, Jeff. Man, Chandler's legs
I
are
can
huge,
quit
bro.
something.
He's jacked. He's so jacked everywhere.
Yeah. You just gotta
I think
watch that
Chandler,
huge right
the
hand.
way he's, but the way that he stands and how much weight he puts on that front leg and how much he's on that front leg, Tony's right to come out attacking it, and he's kicking it like crazy early with both legs. It's smart because Chandler really puts a lot on that front leg. Oh, uh-oh. Kukui rocked him. He rocked him a couple times.
Yeah, I mean Tony's
Chandler might be in trouble.
he's got range. Yeah, Tony's got range. You know, he's a tough puzzle to crack.
Tony cracked him twice, and he's switching between stances. Tony Ferguson looks good. He looks
He's
good,
landing a
man. I
lot
mean, this
of
is
leg
not.
kicks.
Mm-hmm. Midsection there, hit him a couple times in the face, popped him. Of course, we know Chandler's
Tony
got a
does
great
look
chin.
Tony looking really good.
Chandler can't reach him.
Hold on.
Jeff, you
Tony
talked about
should
the
have taken a
distance.
year
Tony can't
off.
reach him.
Yeah. Oh, Chandler did land a big right hand there, Tony out of the pocket. I was like, okay. But see,
Where are you on
Tony's
the
one of
clock?
those guys that you're not really going to sleep with one. You know, you're not going to sleep him with one.
Right. No. If Justin didn't, no one's gonna.
Yeah, these kicks from Tony are going to add up because these kicking to the legs, to the body.
Oh, good. Oh, what a takedown by Chandler. Beast mode. Woo. Wow, that was insane. What a takedown by Michael Chandler. I mean, that was legit, like, just shot right across the cage full speed and lifted him off the ground and pile drove. That was awesome. I love those takedowns. Lost art to a lot of fighters these days. Trying to posture up and throw bombs from
Well,
the
they
top
only
now.
go for. I mean, both these guys can wrestle. You know, both of these guys can. Both of these guys are good on the ground.
And Tony's great off his back. The Kevin Lee fight, for example, right? I mean,
yeah, he doesn't usually take a crap ton of damage.
Chandler just
He's
missed a
similar
huge up kick
in
that would have
regard.
killed him. To who? To who, Jeff?
My feed froze for a second, so I was trying to get it to kick back on. I said that. I'm sorry.
Tony took a couple bad elbows.
Ferguson doesn't take
Go ahead,
usually
Jeff. Go ahead, Jeff.
a lot of damage on the bottom.
No.
Yeah, I was just saying that
No,
Ferguson
nothing's hit him yet.
usually
Nothing.
has a pretty good guard game and doesn't take a lot of damage.
Right. Yeah, you don't usually pass his guard. "45 seconds left in round number 1. It started off all Tony Ferguson. The takedown, control, and shots on the ground from Chandler made it pretty much an. I'd still score the round for Ferguson, but it's close.
Yeah, Ferguson scored. I mean, that was essentially a knockdown. Yeah, I mean, he scored a knockdown basically earlier. Chandler just immediately bounced back to his feet.
Right. And now Chandler with an epic takedown and just controlling from top for the last, 2 minutes? Minute and a half? I can't remember. 2 minutes maybe? Tony's eyes cut now.
I still say that the punch stats, I think that Ferguson's output with the kicks, the leg kicks, the body, and then knocking Chandler down, I think I would score this round for Tony, but Chandler did what he needed to do. And some of the judges may score hit for him because he finished the round so strong.
Tony Ferguson just threw the cut man's rag off his face. I love Kukui. He's great, man. But you spoke about his defense on the ground. Incredible. Chandler was throwing bombs at the end, and Tony made a miss on all of it. It was like Shakur Stevenson, man, against Oscar Valdez. You couldn't hit that dude in a phone booth. You could not hit him in a phone booth. And that was Tony on the ground right there. You're right. He just can't. they're just showing the punch that rocked Chandler and knocked him back. It was a straight left after a right. He did pop right back up, but he did get tagged a bunch of times. Tony hit him hard a few times, and Mike Chandler's got a good chin. He finished the round in top position. But this takedown, look at this takedown, Jeff. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
He landed. It was good. It was a good time takedown. Tony landed a lot of kicks.
A lot of kicks. Chandler's cut. Tony's cut. This has been a war already, man. And this ain't a 5-rounder like the Diaz brothers get, like Nate got, but I'd like to see it be one. And look, it's interesting because Gaethje's beaten both of these guys. Oliveira's beaten both of these guys. You know, I mean, everything comes back full circle. Oh, no. Oh, no. Is he all right? Whoa, Michael Chandler just destroyed Tony Ferguson. He's not moving. He's face down on the ground, not moving, Jeff.
What did he hit him with?
Chandler. He's out cold.
What did he hit him with?
Out cold. It was so fast. Oh my
God. What was it? A right hand?
They're going to show it again in a minute. It was a punch. Tony is out cold, flat on his back, looking up at the ceiling. They moved him that way. He was face first. Patty the Batty in the crowd, enjoying it. But I want to see this replay because there's Mackenzie Dern. Michael Chandler just completely, wow. I mean, I can't even – I just want to make sure Tony's okay. I mean, that's where I'm at right now as a human. Ooh.
I'm going to look at this.
Don't go talking to Dana. Come on, Mike. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's one win. You just lost 2 in a row.
Well, and he got touched up in the first round. You know, that was see, I mean,
he's excited.
That you can't. Yeah, as I said, you can't sleep him with one shot, and then he sleeps him with one shot.
Mike's pointing in the crowd and crying. Why is he crying?
Man, there was a lot of pressure on him to win that fight, I would say.
Oh, he's got
you know
the
what
baby.
I mean?
See? Look at this. What other sport can you practically kill a guy and then hold a baby right after?
Just this in politics.
I think it was a straight right, but Tony circling. No, it was a kick. Oh, it was a front. It was an up. Oh my God, an up kick right under the chin. That's what it was. I missed it in real time. I think they missed it in real time. Actually, truth be told. Oh, I mean, just straight up and one right into the bottom of the chin of Tony for. Oh, man. Oh my God. Whoa. Oh, man.
All right. I finally refreshed and closed stuff out. I had too many windows open. I had like 30 windows open. I was doing a bunch of stuff.
Oh. I thought you meant you refreshed your computer. Right, and you got the weather's starting to get a little nicer probably in Kentucky, I'm guessing.
It was really nice last week. It's a little chilly this week, but it's going to be friggin' 90 next week. Oh, I just saw it. El Cucuy.
He's okay. He's standing up. Man,
I
Tony
can't believe
good,
he hit with that. Yeah, I can't believe he got hit with that.
Wow.
Rogan and Anik and DC lost their minds.
That's one of the best knockouts in UFC history right there. Without a doubt. It's top 5. I'm saying it right now. It's top 5. I mean, if you're going to say Anderson Silva, Vitor Belfort, if you're going to say the
that's a title fight. That's a title fight.
Machida, Randy Couture, you know.
Those are
right.
Yeah. That's a title fight. You know, you're front kicking some dude in the face in the world title fight, not down 5 and 6 in the rankings. I gotta say, it's probably it's gonna be a knockout of the year candidate. The greatest knockouts, man. I mean, you got to go with that elbow too. There's so many knockouts that's been devastating.
Michael Chandler. I wish I could see or hear what he's saying, but I can't. I don't have my. Wait a minute. Can I get closed captioning? I thought I could get closed captioning on here. What's going on?
You should be able to.
Where is it?
CC.
I can get it on my phone. Where is it on here? Oh, there it is. Okay. Ah, there it is. Technology, Jeff, from 100 years ago. I'm finally getting it now. There we go. He sparked him, man. Look at that. Straight up and down with that cannon of a leg of Michael Chandler. And Tony just went straight down on his head and laid there without moving for a few. Kevin Ioli agrees with me. One of the most incredible KOs in UFC history. Wow. He knows history. I'll give Kevin
two
that.
boxing guys. Two boxing guys telling me what's the greatest. That's awesome. All right.
I'm not. Don't call me a boxing guy,
shit.
Jeff. Please don't ever do that to me again. I am not a boxing guy.
All right. Kevin certainly is.
There isn't one MMA event who doesn't want to see the rematch. Charles Oliveira, Gaethje, let's go. Nah.
Why
you know
call
what?
out?
I'm alive.
Why don't you call out?
I'm alive, and I don't want to see it.
Why don't you call out the? Just I want to fight the winner instead of Oliveira.
If it's not them, it's
Ferguson
Conor McGregor. You have
that.
to come back and fight somebody. I like that. You have to come back and fight
never
somebody.
saw that coming. Yeah,
Nope,
Ferguson never saw that.
He wants Conor McGregor. He wants
that's who should be calling
and
out.
Chandler's fired up.
Poirier.
I think about this for 1 second. How close was he to finishing Oliveira and Gaethje? So close, Michael Chandler, to finishing both of them in the first round. And then he knocks Tony Ferguson out cold. The dude's a savage. He's a top-level fighter. Anyone who says Michael Chandler doesn't deserve these title shots, there's Aljo in the house. Michael Chandler's a savage. He deserves any fight that he gets.
He doesn't deserve a title shot after that.
Compete hard and give anybody a fight.
He does not deserve a title fight.
No, not a title shot now.
He does not deserve a title fight after that.
Nope, not a title shot. No, he doesn't. Kamaru's there. Bilal.
He should be calling
not
out
a title
Poirier.
shot now. But I'm saying that there's not a fighter in the division who he's not worthy of fighting. Put it that way. Not one.
He should be calling out Poirier. It's who I'd be calling out.
They're running a trailer for Cowboy
or
Cerrone's
just the
movie.
winner. Because if Gaethje wins tonight, actually, I'll take that back. Chandler could find himself in a title fight. If Oliveira wins tonight, he's not going to find himself in a title fight. But I'm kind of surprised. If I were him, I'd have called for a Poirier fight because Poirier doesn't have anybody lined up, and that gets me back to the number one contender spot. Or a number two at least.
Yeah, number two at least.
So I was sort of surprised by his call out.
What is going on? Oh, okay. Sorry, Jeff. I got my. You're a little behind me. I think in that division, I mean, they're going to want to give Islam a title fight as soon as they can. They're going to want to give Conor a title fight. If not right away, then his second fight. And Conor's at number 9. He can't drop any further. Tony will probably drop out of the top 10.
I think Conor's going to come back at welterweight.
Dariush still factoring in there. In Conor, you're right about Conor. Dariush still a factor at number 4. Islam at number 3. Poirier's next in line.
Yeah, that's who I would have called out. I'd have called out Poirier because they haven't fought. You know what I mean? Or I would have said I want the winner of the main event. That's a no-brainer. I want a rematch Justin Gaethje. That fight was fight of the year. It was a war and blah, blah, blah. I guess he could find himself in there, but Dariush and Islam's who I think they want to give it to. Just for market, for a bunch of different reasons. But I wouldn't do Islam and Chandler because it's too dangerous for both of them. It's too damn dangerous of a fight.
Man, Daniel Cormier, 2022 UFC Hall of Fame inductee.
I couldn't.
He didn't know. He's crying. I love DC. I actually love DC. He's a great, DC. He's a great guy. The people who hated him because the Jones stuff, that was misunderstanding. And then you know him now. I mean, DC's a great dude. Great. He deserves it too. He's a Hall of Famer.
Well, he won. Yeah, he won the championships in 2 divisions, and he won the Strikeforce heavyweight tournament when Strikeforce heavyweight division was better than the UFC's heavyweight division, and no question about that at that time.
But he never beat John Jones, and he was 1-2 against Stipe. I hate to say it, but it's the elephant in the room, and I just let it out. But it doesn't mean he's not a Hall of Famer.
He's still a 2 division champion, and that right there gets you in the Hall.
And I wonder if there had been no Cain Velasquez, or if he had trained anywhere but AKA, would Cormier have been a heavyweight champion on a run of 5-6 in a row like Stipe did? Because Stipe was the GOAT with the number of defenses, and DC beat him. So would DC have been a 4, 5, 6 time, that number of title defenses? It's just possible. You think back, there's a good chance he would have been, and never fought at light heavyweight, and never fought John Jones. I mean, think about all that, because he dropped down to light heavyweight because him and Cain were teammates, and Cain was the heavyweight champ. If he had stayed at heavyweight from the beginning, coming over from Strikeforce, what would that have looked like? Think about that.
Sorry, I got people texting me left and right. Fucking fight night, man. Everybody wants to chime in, and I'm like, yeah, man, Tony got knocked out. I mean, I got all these people like I'm not watching the fights. Thanks, man. I didn't know Tony Ferguson just got knocked out.
Right? Yeah. Leave Jeff alone on fight night. Oh, I was there for the big country fight. I was there for so Casey Cheeler says, Jeff, Casey Cheeler in the chat says, no, DC wouldn't have been. He wouldn't have been a champion for that number of fights. I mean, when he's in his 40s beating Stipe or whatever he was, 39, 40. I mean, the whole crowd's giving him a standing. Oh, DC pumping it. This is awesome. Cain and JDS. This is awesome.
Yeah, so he would have had to beat.
He's walking around the octagon. Yeah, DC.
He would have had to beat Junior Dos Santos. And DC's style is not great for Junior Dos Santos. So I think he probably would have been the heavyweight champion before it took him to get there.
What a moment. What a moment for Daniel Cormier. Joe Rogan gives him a hug, man. It's legit. And Joe's such a good dude. I mean, it's when our sport celebrates one of our own like this, it really is. It's incredible. I have goosebumps the size of golf balls, man. Buffer's hugging him. It's unbelievable. This is one of the greatest moments I've ever seen covering the UFC for DC, and he deserves it, man. He really does. Wow.
I just want to know if it comes with a check. I've always wondered that about the Hall of Fame. Does it come with a check? Because you can keep your jacket and your little plaque. Send me a check.
Give me back my closed captioning. There it is. Class of 2022, Daniel Cormier in Phoenix. Wow. I wonder if that was going to be Cejudo, if Cejudo didn't say he was going back in the USADA testing because he's a Phoenix guy. But wow, Daniel Cormier. You know what I always think about, Jeff? I think about it at least probably once a month, maybe twice, is what if DC and John Jones had fought at UFC 200, man? Of all the things that have happened since I've been a fan and a guy covering this sport, I can't even tell you how disappointed I am that we missed that fight at UFC 200. That's the biggest disappointment I felt as a fan. And DC's reaction when Dana told him, I mean, oh.
Yeah, I mean, it was par for the course. I mean, nothing surprises me with John Jones. nothing. And I've kind of become used to like the fight ain't happening until the weigh-ins. I'll say that once they step on the scale, I feel like the fight's going to happen. Although that's not always the damn case. Cerrone today.
No.
But yeah, that was bad. Yeah, that was bad.
Oh, they're showing highlights of the Esparza Namajunas fight.
Oh.
But before we get to this one,
Carla
Jeff,
just takes her down.
I want to say one more thing about DC real quick. I've asked him some tough questions in press conferences and interviews. I asked him a very tough question before his trilogy fight with Stipe. The guy's all class. The guy gives you what you need, whether it be in the octagon, at practice. He's the consummate professional, the ultimate teammate. He's the best fighter and Mr. Congeniality at the same time. I mean, there's just people in this sport who rise above anything in any situation they're in and stand out above it. And Daniel Cormier is one of those people. He's an Olympian. He's a 2-division UFC champ. And a collegiate star. Cale Sanderson was the guy who beat him in college. But when you think about DC and this honor of him being in the Hall of Fame and the type of teammate he was to step aside for Cain, the way he stands up for his friends, the way he is with his family, when you see that, I mean, that's just the kind of guy that you got to root for. And the last thing I want to say about DC, I was in Anaheim. I was cage side. And it's a no contest, yes. It's not a loss. But until that fourth round, you could clearly make the argument that Daniel Cormier was winning that fight against Jones in Anaheim, the second one.
We got slipped, though.
He did. He got hit with the head kick, and Jones is great. But DC was winning that fight. He was actually probably winning that fight. And how many guys can say that about Jones in that era, in that time frame, besides Guff?
I'd have to go back and watch. I don't
think...
know if he was winning it. I'd have to go back. It's been so long. I know that Gustafsson absolutely.
He was doing well.
And then Dominic Reyes. I remember that DC was landing right hands. I just don't remember that fight because of the way it ended. That's all I can really think about. I remember DC landing right hands throughout the fight. And I remember thinking to myself, shit, DC's ready for this rematch. And then he got slept. But I'd have to go back and look at it. But yeah, man, hey, if you say he was winning, Buck, I don't have any argument on that. Maybe he was. I just can't remember. But he looked good. I do remember that he looked good. Like I said, I remember that he was landing hands, and I was immediately thinking to myself, DC is faster. He's changed up his game plan. And then I don't remember what happened in the third round because what happened in the fourth.
Yeah, it was.
This is going to be a grinding fight right here.
The scorecards were.
Yeah.
Two of the judges had it
Go ahead.
even after 2 rounds. It was the third round, not the fourth. But 2 of the judges had it even, and one of them had it 20-18 for Jones. But clearly, that judge needs to put down the pipe because that was, legitimately needs to put down the pipe. But,
yeah, it just depends on where you're
doing well
sitting. Yeah, I remember that he.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Carla.
Sorry.
No, I remember that he was landing right hands. I remember that he hurt Jones. He hurt Jones with the right hand, or at least got his attention, And then what Jones did to him, I was just like, holy shit, that was out of nowhere. But right now we got the ladies. We got the ladies coming in here, and this is Rose has an opportunity to avenge a loss. I don't think Rose has ever lost a rematch, correct?
Yeah, Rose has not lost much, period. Right? I mean, you think about it.
Yeah.
Rose.
Yeah, but she's had some rematches.
She has, and it's hard to win a rematch when you won the first one. It's hard. It's harder. You have to adapt and adjust more because they adapt to everything you did in the first one. So she lost to Andrade. Her fourth loss was to Andrade, and it's weird because Rose. It's interesting. She hasn't fought a lot. She's only got 11 wins, 11-4. But she lost to Karolina Kowalkiewicz, and she lost to Carla, and she lost to Tessia Torres. But she beat Torres in the rematch,
Yeah.
and she never fought Carolina in the rematch, and she beat Andrade in the rematch. So she's 2-1 in rematches, according to my very pedestrian math.
Okay. Hell, I thought she was undefeated in rematches. Because she beat Wee Lee in a rematch. She beat Joanna in a rematch. She beat Andrade in a rematch. She beat Torres in a rematch. And what rematch did she lose?
None. Oh no.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Did I screw that up?
I don't think she's ever lost a rematch. I think what you're saying is she has avenged all of her losses but one. I think
But
is what
one.
you were
Yeah,
saying.
that's what I meant. I told you I'm
Yeah.
pedestrian. I warned you.
Yeah. And Carolina couldn't get back to Rose. Carolina was on a path to get back to, to where that was going to happen, but she didn't make it there. She couldn't get there. She got knocked the hell out.
I actually have
I always
ADHD, which makes it okay. It actually makes it easier to multitask and do things that most people. It's okay because I'm like, whoa, I'm good. But if I lose a train of thought for 1/2 a second, I'm screwed, and I'm hearing myself right back in my ear. I feel like Lou Gehrig.
I am too.
Consider myself,
Yeah.
luckiest man.
Yeah.
That's me. So I'm waiting, and then I'm
Yeah.
hearing myself, and then you go after the second one. So I'm sitting here like, wait. It's like we're on those old
Yeah.
school
I've got an
walkie-talkies
echo
that
too.
took 5 minutes to. But here comes Thug
Yeah.
Rose.
I,
I mean, what a brilliant move to
I
shave her head.
always like,
To shave her head.
yeah,
Brilliant.
I think that like when Pat Barry talked about their first fight and how Carla is so calm and almost looks like she's being like led to the gallows. It's just the way she enters the fight. And he was like, "Oh, we've got this." And then she won, and he realized Carla always looks that way. I think it's crazy how Carla just stands there before, like, as they're doing introductions. It's Carla's incredibly calm human being.
And think about this. That fight, the Ultimate Fighter and all that. I mean, this is a long time ago. This is over 7 years ago when they fought.
Yeah.
And she was at that point in time, and it's hard to believe, but the women's division, I said it earlier, there only is a modern era. There's no other era. So when you think about that and all the weight classes, they don't have a 105 or really a 145. They say they do, but the 145 pretty much doesn't exist. But when Carla beat Rose in round 3 in Vegas, on December 12th, 2014, right?
Mhm.
It was the inaugural UFC Women's Strawweight Championship. She was the first
Yeah.
strawweight champion.
Yeah. A champion will be crowned was the name of that season of The Ultimate Fighter. They took it was the best women in the world. They basically took a bunch of Invicta fighters and then sprinkled some other regional promotion champions and did it. And Rose and Carla were the ones there when I actually picked Tisha Torres to win that season before the season started. I thought Torres, the
Yeah.
tiny tornado, was going to do it, and then Rose and Carla just decided it was their show.
No, and then Joanna just came in with that Muay Thai and whipped her ass. I mean,
Killed
Joanna whipped
everybody. Yeah.
everyone's ass for a long time. I
Yeah.
mean, unbelievable, Joanna
Yeah.
Jacek. And then she had the Brenda Marcos fight that was a split decision. Marcos, that could have gone either way, but then she beats Calvillo for the second win in a row, and then she loses 2 in a row to Gadelha and Tatiana Suarez, and that's 225 and 228. So, and then she fought twice in 2019, twice in 2020. She hasn't lost since December of 2018 to Tatiana Suarez, but she hasn't beaten any of the top contenders in the division, except for when she beat Michelle Waterson. She was way up there. And then she beat Marina Rodriguez, which I didn't think was going to
Yeah.
happen. That was her best win. That's probably the one that got her. And then Yan Janan, of course, those are two top in a row.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
this fight comes down to on the outside, she wins. If Carla can close the distance and get to the clinch and get takedowns, she's probably going to win. This is a conflict of styles. Distance can
Esparza, I honestly don't give.
stylistically.
minus 160, Rose Namajunas. Plus 138, Carla. Not a that's a very slim margin. Rose not a big favorite. I would think she'd be a much bigger favorite.
Yeah, I mean, stylistically, it's an interesting fight. I mean, I don't think there's any question that Rose is the more well-rounded fighter. Rose is the better athlete. But then Carla, man, what she's good at. And Carla's a great athlete as well. She's competed her whole life and she's done sports. And she's been a UFC champion. Uh, but it's just a stylistic matchup. It's just a stylistic matchup. Is why that is. Those odds are there. Or my opinion, it is.
Wrestling.
I mean, look at
It's the
Carla.
wrestling.
She's just standing over there like nothing is happening. Carla is just standing there like she's waiting in line to, check out of the grocery store or something. It's just weird.
Strawweight legends, and and that's Gedelia's tweet. Excited to see these two strawweight legends. Buffer's cranked up. Everybody's excited. There's Thug Rose. It's interesting when I think about Esparza. She's getting married next week, and we talked about this earlier, right?
She's gonna get touched up.
Who's on this planet is more nervous than her fiance right now? Number one, you're getting married, which is always nerve-wracking for a guy. You're already like booking a one-way flight to Pluto if you can.
I hope
now you.
I hope they were smart enough to do the pictures last week.
Oh yeah.
Because she's going to get touched up in this fight a little bit, I would say. No matter what
then
happens.
You'd have to do it. You got to show your support. You got to go out and start shit with the biggest guy in the bar, so you match. That's what you got, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's about to get down though.
Man, I wish I was there for this.
Thug
front
Rose.
row. But there's no place I'd rather be than here with you, Jeff. We're good. Thug Rose and Carla Esparza, the former champ, the current champ, maybe the best champion of all time was Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Rose has 2 wins over her and 2 over Zhang Weili, and they're fighting their rematch of that 2020 fight in March on the Izzy Romero card. Joanna and Zhang are going to fight, but you talk about Rose. She wants to keep the distance. She wants to use the jabs. She wants to use the kicks, without a doubt. But she's trained and she's ready for the takedowns. She's ready for them. So the question is, what tactics will she use? How will she defend the takedowns while still mixing in her offense? And she was so young. They both were that first fight. You can pretty much throw that out.
Yeah, it was crazy that Carla was able to take Rose's back because Rose has a really good submission game, and that Carla was able to put her away. That's pretty crazy,
right? Rose is good on the ground. That's the thing with a wrestler and someone who's good with submissions. You can never take it for granted. We saw it with Tracy Cortez with a couple of her takedowns earlier. Didn't extend all the way through and lower that head all the way because easy choke. You really have to be careful as a wrestler against someone who's good at jiu-jitsu. And that's an obvious thing to say, but
yeah, you can't leave your head out to the side for sure.
Carla's peppy, chasing her across the octagon, throwing punches. I like Carla's head movement too. Her feints are really good. Look at us just both sitting here watching. Not much going on so far. First 2 minutes of round 1, uneventful to say the least. The feeling out
it's pretty uneventful right now. Yeah. Rose is trying to land her jab and get a little look, and then Carla is waiting for an opening to get a takedown. Can you hear my audio by any chance, Jim?
I can hear you, but I don't hear the fights, if that's what you're asking.
Yes, that's exactly what I was asking.
I got the volume down because I'm watching them on the same TV that I have everything else up on.
I've got it turned down really, 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 really low to where I can kind of hear it, but you guys can't hear it, so that's good. Whenever Joe
Rose
Rogan
is so
screams, I'll make.
right,
She's quick.
right. Rose is so patient, and these are veterans. They've been around a long time. They're both, but Rose is so calculating and so precise, and just looking for those openings. She's just reaching that level right now. I feel like she's gonna go on a run, Jeff. I feel like she's gonna go on a 3 or 4 fight run, maybe more.
She could. She certainly could.
What are you guys thinking in the chat? Who do you think wins this fight? Are you excited about it? Do you think Esparza could beat Rose and be champ again? What a story that would be all these years later to come back full circle and do it again. And you love that. You love that angle. You love Rose overcoming the anxieties and some of the mental things she's had. And, that loss to Andrade, which she said ironically actually helped her neck somehow. Interesting there.
Yeah, it didn't look like it at fight time.
They're like, thanks for the adjustment. I'm good now.
Yeah, that was scary. That was a scary knockout.
One of the scariest I've seen.
Yeah, it looks like Rose is Ricardo Arona.
And he thought he was dead.
Yeah, Ricardo Arona, where he lifted him up and slammed him on the ground when Arona tried to triangle him.
Yeah. And you're like, that guy's dead. He's not getting up.
It looks like Rose is just going to keep Carla on the outside with her jab and her length. And she's been able to do it so far. She's not doing anything to Carla, but she's kind of controlling the distance.
23 seconds and counting left in round 1. And we are almost officially done. Almost at the 10-second mark.
Yeah, it's
5 seconds.
The first round, not a lot happened.
Oh, that might be the worst first round I've ever seen in my entire life.
Very careful, a lot of respect by both women for the other. I want to see the punch stats.
Do you hear the dog barking?
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay, yeah, there was like, sounded like a gunshot or something, and then I hear a dog barking.
Nice. It is 9:07. 7 when the police ask.
Carla, yeah, nobody has a mark on him, Jeff.
Yeah. I want to see the punch stats because I don't know who the hell won that round. I felt like Rose controlled the distance, but neither one of them did much of anything.
No. Hitting round 2. I'm going to hit the bathroom real quick, Jeff. I gotta go. I lasted a little longer than you, but I gotta go. I'll be back in a second.
No, you're good. Hit it before the main event. So the second round is getting ready to start right here for me. And Carla's cornerman told her that the crowd is starting to boo Rose. Do not get impatient. Do not rush into anything. Just continue to do what you're doing. So we'll see. But neither one of them's doing much. I mean, Rose is standing on the outside. She's moving, the head movement, pawing with her jab. Carla will, close the distance for a second with a combination, and then Rose circles away. But neither one of them are doing any damage to each other. They're being kind of too respectful. But the first round, really seasoned fighters and really technical fighters, the first round is usually a throwaway, get my timing, get my distance, get, the range down, and get settled in. And then now the fight starts in the second round. And that's sort of what's happening here. But yeah, it's I don't even know how to explain this. It's like neither one of them want to engage. It's neither one of them want to engage. That's the best way to explain it. Rose threw a right hand. I think it was blocked. And then, but we're 3 minutes and there's 3 minutes and 40 seconds. We're a minute and 20 seconds left into this thing. And I think one strike has landed. Carla just changed levels and took Rose down. Rose immediately back to her feet. Immediately. So that was something happened there. Something happened there. But Rose is back to her feet. They're back at distance. But Carla changed levels and got Rose to the ground for just like a half a second. Rose immediately bounced back up to her feet. But maybe that's why Rose is being really careful, right? While you were gone, okay, he's not got his head things in.
All right, there we go.
While you were gone, Jim, Carla changed levels and actually took Rose down for a split second. Rose used a whizzer, got immediately back to her feet, immediately. And so we're like the first round, neither one of them want to engage.
No.
It's kind of a frustrating fight to watch a little bit. I don't think that anybody felt like it was going to play out this way.
No, it's not good.
And we're early. Yeah, this is just round 2 of 5, so it could still. We got plenty of time for things to get crazy.
I mean, just because
the crowd is booing. Yeah.
Yeah, the fighters aren't going to put their due. I mean, you're not going to lose a fight or risk it.
No, but the crowd is getting restless.
Nobody's doing anything.
No, I think that Carla changing levels kind of was like, okay, I can get you. And so now Rose is not wanting to engage. She's just staying way on the outside. I mean, she's pawing with her jab, but she's 6-8 inches short from landing.
And she just got her again. Is that a takedown? Yeah. It's this is gonna end up being a boring fight all the way through. And that was one of the reasons I didn't want Carla to get the shot. I just
well, you give
I don't want
the fight to who deserves it.
That's true.
Yeah, Carla's standing in the middle of the cage and just looking at Rose while Rose circles on the outside, and like Carla's just like, I'm here. This is crazy. This is bizarre. I don't know who. All I know is if this were Pride, both of these people would have yellow cards right now.
Oh, yeah. And maybe a couple death threats.
Yeah. Like, I think if next round goes like this, you might see the referee say, you guys need to engage, or you girls need to engage.
Right.
I apologize.
This is
Rose did land a left hand. She landed a straight left hand. Carla answers with a leg kick.
Where are you on the clock, Jeff?
I got 30 seconds left. So you probably what you got, 10? Yeah, the crowd actually started cheering because one of them landed a leg kick.
Brainbot says, if that's the way they're fighting, the belt should be taken away in the chat. What do you think,
Joe Rogan and Daniel Cormier both just said, this is ridiculous. And Rose, stared Carla down after that round. That was weird.
Interesting.
Well,
getting close.
I don't know. You know who I feel bad for, Jim? Is the highlight person in the truck that has to come up with something from those first 2 rounds to show. I mean, holy shit.
It's like, man, what are you doing? Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah, they aren't even showing any highlights. They're just going to.
Wow.
Okay. Rose's corner just told her she has to start picking up the pace. Carla's corner's keep doing what you're doing. Yep. Carla's corner's like, keep doing what you're doing. She's the one circling away. You're fine. So that's interesting.
If the third round is like this, thank you, Abraham. I love y'all. I might subscribe to y'all. We appreciate that. Please do.
Good.
All of you, please subscribe, like, share,
Yeah,
comment.
hit the
We appreciate it.
bell.
We take super chats. Look at that. If it ends like this and Carla wins and I'm Dana, I'm not putting the belt around her waist. I might throw it on the ground.
Why?
Because this is bullshit. This is not a UFC fight. It's bullshit. It is. I'm getting it. I
It's a
don't like
very
it.
technical. It's a very technical fight. Well, they can train and get his ass in a title fight, and then he can criticize actual fighters.
No, but he's the president. He can do what he wants with the belt. And if I were him, I'd throw it on the ground. I wouldn't give it to either one of these girls right now. They don't deserve it.
And I would say that if Dana did that, would be the biggest dickhead move in sports history.
So you're basically calling me a dickhead.
You don't throw the belt on the ground. You don't get look if he's as the
I kind of look like one.
That caught up in the co-main event, then he's not doing things right.
No, I mean,
It's
you know, I like,
technical.
and look, there's a takedown. There's another takedown for Carla. Rose got right up, but that's a takedown. She scored it, and Rose better start slanging some leather, or she's losing this fight. She's gonna lose because of two takedowns.
Ooh, Carla set up that takedown beautifully too, though, with the left hand.
Did.
Close the distance. Okay, the pace is picking up. Rose is starting to pick up the pace, but what that has done is Carla is got a takedown and landed a little combination there.
I think it's too little too late. I think Rose is losing. I actually do. And if you lose your belt by not fighting, and I was about to call you the GOAT, I don't understand. I've never seen this with Rose. I don't get it. She's something in her head. She's not feeling it with Carla. She doesn't want any of that with that takedown and the ground and pound. I don't know what is going on here, but she's going to lose her belt.
Carla is
due to inactivity.
A threat.
Now Rose is starting to really actively pursue her and box with her, but there's 2:30 left in the fight. Carla shoots again and again, and the knee's coming up after the stuffed takedown. I mean, that's pretty good. I like that right there, throwing that knee. Interesting. This actually probably could be the worst fight ever put on by the UFC.
No, you should watch Anderson Silva's fight, the first event in Abu Dhabi. Who was it against Nate Corey that ran the whole time? Caleb Starnes ran the whole time. That was probably the worst fight. That was probably I don't know.
This is a 5-round fight. I mean, she might be trying to gas her out and win it in the 4th and 5th. And if that's her game plan, then good on her, and I'll shut up.
They haven't thrown up any stats. I want to see the damn stats because I guarantee it. Through the first 2 rounds, there were single-digit strikes landed.
Right.
Now, this round's been a decent round. This has been a decent round. I mean, a
lot of action, nothing
both
landing,
of them.
Really.
Yeah, pretty much. Rose is trying to throw this weird left, uppercut thing as a lead, and it's not working.
Oh, like the shovel punch, right?
Yeah, but it's not. But as a lead punch, that seems kind of weird to lead with, don't you think?
Actually, yeah, but I feel it coming right now. Rose is about to land. She's getting close. She's figuring out. She's solving the puzzle. She's about to crack her. I think it's coming. She's switching it up. She's using the jab. She's moving. This is actually a pretty good round for Rose. I think she's actually taking control of the fight here, even if not a lot's landing. That was an erratic takedown attempt. Yeah, Rose looks more active. It clearly had to have been her philosophy.
You gotta land a shot.
Yeah,
but neither one of them are landing anything. Is what's kind of crazy.
Oh, that was close. Rose is getting close.
It's just neither one of these ladies are doing anything. I mean, It's hard to
They did a lot more
score
that round.
when you don't give us anything. Yeah, but there was no damage done. Uh, Carla went for a couple of takedowns, got the first one, didn't get any other after that, and then did nothing with any takedown she's gotten so far. Rose,
You find the opening when she throws the kick, is what Barry said. And now Whitman's coming in. He's got Gaethje coming up next. That's some coaching right there, Whitman and Barry.
okay, Whitman's telling her to apply pressure this round. And so this is where we're going to see. Now, Rose doesn't want to apply pressure because every time she does, Carla is going to change levels. So this is going to get interesting.
We got a women's fight with a Manscaped ad with clippers popping up on the screen. I like these little observations that I make. Timex sponsors the clock.
See.
Trojan, protect yourself at all times. The new Top Gun's coming out with Tom Cruise. Round 4, Jeff. Carla can't reach
we got to. Not yet. But if Rose is going to apply pressure, Carla's going to be able to reach her.
That's why I'd like to see more kicks from Rose.
I mean, Rose has a lot of movement where Carla's style isn't that way, you know.
She's forward and back, forward and back.
Both of them are doing miss, you know, so bad. Both of the women have missed so terribly with shots. It's crazy.
Yeah, Rose doesn't look good tonight to me. She just doesn't. I've seen her look great. She doesn't tonight. And I mean, look, it's a spar too. Those takedowns are vicious and painful and fight ending if in some cases. So you have to be really careful of them. And I hate criticizing fighters. And we talked about matchups. This is the matchup for Rose. You were right. You said it earlier. This is a matchup that is not the best one for her. And Esparza shot again, couldn't get the takedown, but now she's got the leg up in the air and she gets it. There's another one. She's got Rose's back. And she's
that's how the first fight ended. Oh, she hung onto that leg for dear life. Rose tried to escape and dump her. And she did. She escaped out the back door. Nice, Rose. Yep. That was impressive. Yeah. That was impressive.
They're in the I got 310. Right. I don't know where you are.
Carla tried to jump on her back instead of controlling the position. She didn't have to try to get in. Both hooks. Yep. DC's spot on right there. She did.
She could have slowly taken her back.
Yes. But she rushed, got too high up on Rose's body, and Rose stood and escaped out the back. That was nice.
Brainbot says, "I hate boring fights." That's all of us, man. That's It's like I want my.
Well, I feel like I wasted my time, but at the same time, I
want my 17 and a half minutes back, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I'm not the one getting kicked and punched either, you know.
Yeah, but then you don't have to be a fighter.
Carla landed a decent little left hand right there during a weird little. I mean, DC's going crazy. What are we scoring? What's there to score? I agree with him.
Man.
Oh, Rose did just barely miss with that. Rose is getting close with the front kick.
Oh, nice right hand by Rose. She's starting to land a little bit now. I mean, they should both be fresh. That's for sure. Canelo's losing. Someone just put in the chat. I forgot to even check the Canelo score. The Canelo fight.
I forgot that it was happening.
Yeah, me too. Oh, now she's got her back in the center of the octagon. Carla does. Jeff is hilarious, Abraham G. Yes, he is, Jeff. Abraham. He is.
Oh,
Abraham
she
G. Shout out to
slammed
Jeff
her.
Cain.
She slammed Rose to the ground. Now she's being careful. Rose, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Rose is back to her feet and landed a right hand when she got to her feet. Yeah, that was an athletic
Where,
move right there.
where are you on the
I'm
clock?
like 15 seconds. I'm at 54. I'm at like 15 seconds or 20 behind you.
You're 11 seconds
Kentucky
behind me.
Kentucky Internet.
Wasn't that a Luke Perry movie? No, that
11.
was 8 seconds. The rodeo movie.
Yeah, 8 seconds. 8 seconds.
Used to do a lot of things in 8 seconds back then.
I'm not touching that.
That's what she said. Oh, man. Never mind.
I knew the chat was going to come through. The chat always comes through.
UFC staggered the fights because they didn't want to mess up the main event. What does that mean? Come on, Rose. Canelo is being obliterated. Good. Canelo is being obliterated. Now I have to look.
I don't even know
Canelo
who he's
Bivol.
fighting.
Dmitry Bivol. He's trying to move up and take the super light heavyweight championship. He's tiny.
Oh.
Live
Well,
scoring
speed
updates.
kills.
Canelo.
Speed. Okay, I think Carla had a couple of takedowns, but she was unable to do anything. And Rose immediately got back to her feet. I how to score this fight. I think Rose probably won that round. The first round,
Yeah.
first 2 rounds, I have no idea how you even score it. Like, I don't know how you score
0-0.
it.
0-0.
Yeah, 10-10. Yeah, 10-10.
I say 0-0 because no one deserves a point. Canelo is making over $30 million. He's not losing anything. Good point. Good point. Great point. Except
Okay.
there's not going to be a 5 division champion, and he's going to lose the fight. Here we go, Jeff. Here it is.
Rose's
Round 5.
Rose's corner. Rose corner told her to go out there and show everybody why she's the best, or something along those lines. So
Certainly hasn't done that for the first 4 rounds.
No,
I don't want to rip on him anymore. I mean, this is what you knew you were going to get when Esparza got the fight, which is why I didn't want her to get it. But the live odds razor thin, -175 for Namajunas and +145 Esparza. So Rose is up probably by the slimmest of margins right now. Maybe up a round. No, that'd be impossible. She'd have to be up 2 rounds because it's round 5. It'd either be tied or she'd be up 2. I can't see her being up 2. I have to say 2-2.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't know. I guess you could have scored the first 2 for Rose. Rose, I guess, could be up 2 rounds to 1. I don't know. I just don't know how you score those first 2 rounds. They were nightmare rounds to score.
Yeah.
And we're a minute into this round, and they're not seeing any sense of urgency.
I think it's dead even. And this is where Rose beat Zhang. There's a nice right hand by Rose. Rose owned that 5th round against Wei Li. And I didn't think she was going to. That was a tremendous performance by her. Oh, nice shots to the body from Rose. Okay, here it comes. We might see, this might be a 1-round fight. Well, it has to be because it's wide open. It's up in the air right now. So it's definitely it's definitely whoever wins this last 3.5 minutes.
Carla landed a good left hand right there in that exchange.
Nobody's tired.
No, hell, they shouldn't be tired. It's a shame that we just can't fast forward to the main event.
Yeah.
Because this is ridiculous right here. I mean, we got 3 minutes left in the 5th round, and no one's fighting with any urgency whatsoever.
Well, thank God, 2 of the greatest finishers of all time fight next. What do you guys think? You still awake in the chat? You guys need some nobody needs Ambien after this.
No, I'm going to have to get a cup of coffee, and I don't even drink caffeine.
You know I'm looking forward to now, Jeff. I'm looking forward to the post-fight press conference, which, by the way, will be a separate stream here on MMA Weekly. After the main event, we'll cut it, and we will go right to the press conference on a new stream. And I want to hear how Dana White describes this fight. I can't wait to hear how Dana White describes this fight.
He'll be careful.
Can't wait to hear his take.
I've never heard him attack and criticize Rose. I'd be shocked. But he should. He should criticize both of them a little bit. Because they're not even, I mean, like I said, Rose just missed with the right hand that was a good foot away from Carla. It's like, but then she landed a right hand.
No, and I feel for John and Joe in DC too. As a guy who calls fights, this is painful. These 15 minutes feel like hours.
Yeah, there's nothing to call. I mean, there's literally nothing to call.
Reminds me of Anderson versus Maya. Oh, God. Or Lewis and Ngannou.
Oh, that was bad. That was bad.
Yoel Izzy was terrible.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like they don't realize that this fight is winnable by either one of them. You know what I mean? I mean, nothing's happened. We're under a minute left, and you guys, nobody's like going for broke or anything. It's like Carla Esparza is getting married, and Rose doesn't want to hit her.
I mean, this could be. I mean, best wedding gift of all time, a clean face. This is the belt that should be vacant at the end of the night, not Oliveira's. Well, Oliveira should be too. This is the belt that should be vacant. Vacate this. Oh, Rose with a late takedown. Maybe that wins the fight.
Rose with a takedown.
Oh my God. This is Pat Barry is celebrating. I don't know what.
Rose literally got a
Rose is
takedown
talking
with
shit,
5
throwing her hands in the
seconds
air.
left.
I don't know that
What
I'd
the
be
fuck
proud
is-
of that performance.
What the fuck is Rose doing?
I don't know. Rose 2.0? I don't know. Rock Corleone says, I agree. Vacate the belt.
Rose is like celebrated like she did something.
I mean, she landed some shots. She won. Rose won. I'll give her that.
Well, we're going to see. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't know what the first 2 rounds, how you score them. And that's 2 rounds. You know, so I don't know.
You know what I don't get? And maybe I do, but because of what would happen. But that takedown was there for Rose the whole night, and she just does it in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that the all? Oh,
I don't know.
Joe's asking right now. Oh, Jeff, to speak to your point, Joe Rogan is saying it has to be the lowest number of strikes landed in a 5-round fight.
I agree. I mean, I think that we're under 20 for each one. Unless there were some leg kicks that I didn't really register.
I don't see the number landed here like I do on the app when I'm watching on the ESPN Plus app. They have a whole. It's awesome.
They probably aren't even showing it.
Joe Rogan to go in and do that interview. That's not easy.
No, because you want to be
here we
careful.
go. I got it. I got the closed captioning, Jeff. After 5 rounds, we go to the judges.
I would say Rose is going to win 3-2.
48-47. Namajunas. 49-46. Esparza. And 48-47. Winner by split decision. And new.
Carla Esparza won?
This is a disgrace. Hurry up and get her out of there. Don't even interview her. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
No, that's
man.
Rose. It's Rose. I told you don't know how this
Rose
scored the
was
first
all
2 rounds.
cocky, throwing her hands up. Rose was like
Yeah.
she
It
just
comes
beat
down to the
Joanna in a 5-round
yeah.
war.
Yeah, I mean, you and I talked about it. Those first 2 rounds, you gave nothing for the judges to score. And so what did they score? The takedown.
The
And
takedown.
wow. Wow. There were no winners in that fight. There were no winners in that fight. But what a wedding gift, Jim.
Yeah, what a wedding gift. And well, she's not going to get a bonus. That's for sure.
Oh, hell no.
That'd have been the best wedding gift, $50K, but you ain't getting that. But I think
Hey,
that
there are 2 women now. There are 2 women now that have lost the title and won it back.
and Rose has now lost a rematch. That was not.
I have a hard time thinking that Rose lost, but I have the same hard time thinking Carla lost. You know, like that fight, like it's like we should just say, hey, we're gonna put the belt over here after the main event. We're gonna do this again.
Well, I'll tell you this: whoever paid to see this fight lost. Everyone who paid to see this
Oh
fight
yeah.
lost.
Oh
Everyone
yeah.
who was looking forward to this fight lost. The strawweight division lost. This champion is I in that division with those women to have her as I can't. But I like the story. I don't want to say things that I shouldn't say. I don't want to rip on fighters. I don't like doing it. But that was a disgrace, man, by Thug Rose. I'm going to call her out. That was a disgraceful performance by an all-time great champion in my mind who could be. And where's Rose Namajunas, who fought Joanna Jacek in a 5-round war and Zhang in a 5-round war? Where was that Rose? Where was the Rose who looked like she wanted to fight? I just don't know what happened with Rose Namajunas tonight. Carla Esparza's gone 2,612 days between title reigns, which is pretty much more than double what Frank Mir went and Randy Couture, and then Tim Sylvia and Dominic Cruz. But 2,612 days between title reigns for Carla Esparza.
That's great. Look, well, Carla Esparza can
I'm
rest
happy for
assured
her.
her wedding photos will look fine. Her wedding photos are going
And
to look
I'm
fine.
happy for her. Yep, I am. I'm happy
It's
for
a good
Carla.
story. I'm perplexed in the way the fight turned out. That just seemed, and I do put more blame on Rose than Carla because Carla is not the striker. You know what I mean? She's not the one that's going to put you out. She's the wrestler who's waiting for the opening for a takedown. And wow, I still cannot believe that shit.
Weili
That
that
is
greater than
that
Rose
is.
beat her twice. I think Rose was
I cannot
intimidated. Omar
think
says,
of
"Yeah,
a.
you're right, Omar. She was."
Yeah, I can't think of a worse title fight in a long time. I mean, I'd have to really ponder it. And I know people are going to say Anderson and Maya, but I'm pretty sure Anderson and Maya had 5 times as much action in it than that did.
Woodley and Maya was horrible too.
Yes, but better than that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
That was just like nobody landed a significant anything. I don't know.
Fewest
Rose
strikes
is going to be.
landed UFC fight. Boom.
Yeah, look up the stats because I don't know.
Hamzat Chimaev landed 118 strikes in the first round of his octagon debut.
Carla Esparza and Rose could fight 47 times and not land that many.
Lewis and Ngannou had 31 total strikes in a 3-round fight. Woodley versus Maya breaks record for fewest strikes attempted. Okay, let's see.
Do they have the stats for tonight already?
They do, but I can't find them. I'm not on the app.
They probably don't want anybody.
It's not
I'm just in
I can't.
shock, Jim. I'm in shock. I don't even know. I'm not gonna bash Carla Esparza. Props to Carla, man, for winning the title, I guess. But I don't know what the fuck we just watched, man. I don't know. It's like I tuned in and like to the Food Network or something, and Carla and Rose were whipping up spaghetti because it sure wasn't a fight. That was like the lightest sparring session that you ever gonna see. I don't I don't know, man. Damn.
Well, we can put that one behind us.
Thank goodness. Let's forget about it.
I just have to think if you're Rose Namajunas, you're going to be really upset
Killing
with yourself.
You're
to
kicking
lose your
yourself
belt
in the
that way.
ass. That was almost as bad as how Charles Oliveira lost his belt.
Almost.
I
could
mean,
say
really
it's
was.
worse. I could say it's worse. The reason I could say it's worse
I
because at
think
least
that was
Oliveira
Rose's fight to lose.
Yeah.
I'll say that was Rose's fight to lose, and she lost it. But I still don't know how the hell the judges scored it for Carla. I really would have just said, you know what, this is a draw. Champion retains. I don't know. There was nothing to score through the first two rounds. Nothing.
Well, 49-46 though. When I saw the 49-46 card for Esparza, I can see a 48-47 card, but a 49-46.
They scored the takedowns. Yeah, and look, Carla only really had one good solid takedown. The other two, Rose, as soon as she hit the canvas, was back up to her feet. And now Rose got that takedown right there at the end, but the same thing, she wasn't able to control Carla, and Carla was on her way up when the thing ended. So really, there was only one solid takedown in the whole damn fight.
Right.
And what strikes were thrown, I felt like Rose landed more punches. I'd have to go back and see if Carla was landing leg kicks at the end of those exchanges or whatever. God, I'm just happy that we're seeing Justin Gaethje follow that up.
I'm gonna be surprised if this fight goes more than 2. Really surprised.
Yeah, I'll be shocked if this fight gets out of the first round. I'll say that. I'll be shocked if this fight gets out of the first round. I've already forgot about the damn Chandler knockout. That Rose fight, and Carla just killed my. I had momentum heading into the co-main event. I got no momentum now.
Oh, I need like what was that stuff we used to take in high school or college? Nodos, Vivarin. I need something like that.
5-hour energy. You need some 5-hour energy.
Yeah. I need whatever energy drink wants to sponsor the show.
Yes, I'll agree with
anyone?
you.
Bueller?
Anyone? Yeah, anyone. Anyone. Any
Here we go.
supplement?
The chat's humming now.
Main event starting.
Man, I'll tell you what, Justin Gaethje and Oliveira, styles make fights, but what people don't realize, people do now, what I didn't realize is the heart that ticks inside the chest of Charles Oliveira. And I say that, it's people talk about a chin, and a chin is really hard when you think about it. It's because it hurts everybody the same when you get hit. It feels the same to just about everyone when you get hit in the face.
Well, you shut that switch off. Yep. I'll say this. We've done this show for a while, and I've emphatically picked Charles Oliveira in all of these fights. I don't think he's going to win tonight. I don't think he's going to win tonight.
What? Wait a minute. Say that again,
I don't think he's going to win tonight. Yeah, I do not think he's going to win tonight.
Whoa. Wait a minute.
I'm not going to be shocked if he does. No, Gaethje's. This is his
Oh, it's
dad's
Gaethje.
favorite song or whatever. Yeah, he talked about
I
it
can't
during
hear the
one of the
song.
embeddeds. It's
No, I
a
can't hear
mariachi
the
band.
song. I saw the
Yeah, it's
lights.
like a mariachi
Gaethje's
band.
from Stafford,
Yeah.
Arizona, Jeff. He won. Remember his wars against Palomino and WSOF? I was front row for all those in downtown Phoenix, where the weigh-ins were yesterday. The ceremonials, right, at the old Dodge Theater,
Yep.
which is Comerica, and I think it's Arizona Federal now. There's 1,000 different names because sponsors drop on and off, but I look at it
Yeah.
and I go, man, Justin, I've known him a long time, known him since he was a kid. I hosted weigh-ins for WSOF. I had him on my shows. We hired all their models and did all their promo, which is interesting because Ali Abdelaziz was with Ray Cepho was running. I liked the WSOF back in the day,
Yeah.
actually. Now it's the PFL. But Gaethje was the longest tenured champion, I believe, in the history. He had 5 title defenses there. And, he comes to the UFC. Michael Johnson hits him a couple times. You think he might go out. He comes back and beats him. And it's just a matter of who comes back to life first. Like the Poirier fight, one of the best fights I've ever seen. Dustin Poirier and Gaethje in Glendale, Arizona. But tonight, in his home state, with his whole family there, everyone he's ever known in the building, Justin Gaethje has a chance to finally win UFC gold. And he had that chance against Habib a couple of years ago, and he landed a couple shots, but he almost looked a little intimidated. And he got the interim belt by beating Ferguson. He went and fought Khabib. It's just, when I look at what Justin Gaethje's done, the only thing missing is what he can win tonight. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That belt.
Yeah, I just think that Oliveira thinks that he's kind of a striker or something. I just think that Gaethje's a different animal. You don't get second chances very often. You know, Ferguson, yes, Michael Chandler, but their second chances still were losses, right? Okay, so he didn't finish you. He still destroyed you. And so I feel like he's going to land a big shot on Oliveira in this first round, and he's going to be able to finish. But I will not be shocked if Oliveira is able to do that exact same thing to Gaethje. But I just got a feeling, man, that this is Gaethje's night. I don't
I
know.
feel it
I
too.
got a feeling that it's Gaethje's night.
You take the 60% striking accuracy, the 7.5. I mean, just the striking volume of Gaethje and the power. All those things combined. It's a rare combination to be that tough and that accurate and that powerful to throw that kind of volume. Very few fighters have ever done it. In fact, I could make the argument that no one has ever done it the way Justin Gaethje did it and taken the punishment at the same time. And I think Justin Gaethje is going to win this fight. I think he's going to knock him out. I've said it from the beginning. I think it's his night. I'm almost wishing I was in AZ right now because those are all my boys for years. Him and Kelvin Gastelum. I've known those guys since they were kids, and it's one thing about being in the same place and working in this sport. I mean, the refs that I know, everyone on the commission that I know, they're all there, and I'm watching it, and I'm just happy for all of them. But everything is lined up perfectly for Justin Gaethje. But as Dubronx is about to make his way out, Jeff Cain, there's a lot to be said for the guy who came from the worst slums of the poorest part of one of the worst parts of Brazil, which is really a third world country where he grew up in that part. There's something to be said for a kid who grew up in a 6-member family with a 1-bedroom shack behind his grandmother's house. There's something to be said for a kid who couldn't walk until he was 12 years old because of various physical ailments and illnesses that robbed him of his childhood. He has spent his whole life coming back from things that most people would never survive. He had the losses. He dropped down to featherweight. He had all those losses in a row, man. I mean, he was finished. He was on the scrap heap. Now he's got the most submissions and the most finishes in UFC history. It's unbelievable what he's done in his life to be born into a shithole where he was born with the ailments that he had to make it to be the world. I mean, come on. I mean, they made a movie about Kurt Warner. Make the movie about Charles Oliveira. Good Lord.
Make them more. Yeah, man. Look, there's a lot of those guys. Jose Aldo. I'm waiting for that movie too, man. But yes,
Junior Dos
Charles.
Santos.
Look, I'm not going to be shocked at all. I'm not going to be shocked at all if Charles Oliveira defeats Justin Gaethje tonight. At all. I'm a huge Charles Oliveira fan. I mean, I've been selling
Always
this
have been.
guy for years. I just feel, and I never pick fights this way usually. I just feel that this is Justin Gaethje's night. That this is his night to knock out Charles Oliveira and take the belt.
In a favela, he got sick. He had fever. He had a
course.
heart murmur. Man.
Yeah.
And Justin Gaethje's family man, his brother. He is the man. He is very dangerous. And Justin Gaethje is too. And Justin's, I mean, his family, his brother's got a bunch of kids, his parents. Man, 15 submissions, 18 finishes, most performance awards in UFC history with 18. Charles Oliveira, do Bronx. He's won 10 in a row. Poirier, Chandler, Ferguson, Kevin Lee are the last 4.
Yeah.
Again, I'll say that I'm going backwards.
Crazy.
Poirier, Chandler, Ferguson, Kevin Lee. Yeah. And I have to give him his credit. And you're talking about a guy who had lost